At this point, I'd like to ask Mr. Clerk, could you please take roll call?
Dave Abdallah.
Here.
Bill Bazzi.
Here.
Robert Constant.
Here.
Lisa Hicks Clayton.
Here.
Denise Malinowski Maxwell.
Here.
Ray Muscat.
Here.
Tom Wenzel.
Here.
Madam Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to ask Angela Venegas to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and please be seated. Okay. First item on our agenda tonight is the agenda approval.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdallah.
I move that we approve the order of business for February 26, 2019, regular meeting of the Dearborn Heights City Council as submitted.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Constant. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Before we vote on this, I don't know if this is the appropriate time to ask, because we were presented with an item that's a supplement to 11C or a replacement, and I'd like to ask our corporate attorney, Gary Minaki, to please explain the difference on these items as it was just presented to us right before the meeting.
I believe that this item was the one that you had tabled as a body, and essentially the item apparently did not get onto your agenda, so Mr. Roberts had ended up sending it over to me, and it's the one that has the correction with the one typo, and I believe there are two typos in it.
So exactly what typo?
I believe that said the city of Farmington,
Yeah.
and so it's now been corrected, and I believe there was a Sidwell number that was wrong. So.
Right, thank you.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Abdallah?
So just for clarification, Gary, is there any other changes, because obviously we were just given this, so is there any other changes whatsoever on that item?
I do not know for sure. I spoke to Mr. Roberts today. He indicated I did not review them personally myself. So I would assume that he was accurate in terms of what he indicated to me, but I haven't reviewed the item thoroughly. So.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Bazzi?
I think we should move this item to another, study session. We were just given this, and some council members just arrived. I can't take somebody's word for, we're putting our name on this, or our signature, so I think we should move this to a study session or the next meeting.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks
I will
Clayton?
add that I'm surprised and concerned, because I do believe that our city attorney should review it thoroughly and bring it back to us before we vote and put our name on things.
Thank you.
Good.
So you have a motion on the floor, though.
Okay, at this time, is there any further discussion? The motion on this is to remove this to a study session. Are we ready to take a vote on it?
Look,
Chair.
Madam Chair, pass the agenda, and I guess would be with
With the deletion of that?
what we could do 11C when we get to that item. We could move it to a study session instead of changing the agenda.
We can do that.
That's fine.
Well,
That works out. Councilman Abdallah?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Honestly, I'm not sure if we need to go to a study session on this, so, I'm just throwing
Maybe
a
just bring it
proposal out there.
back.
If we even if we had maybe a minute. I looked at it visually, it looks like the same thing with just the Sidwell difference, and I did notice on the first one, the one that was in our packet, it did say Farmington, which was what we had on the previous packet, and that's why we tabled it. I did notice that they had the right Sidwell this particular time, so if there's no other changes, and it's 2, 3, I don't know, maybe 5 sentences, and you don't see no other changes. I can't see why we can't vote on it, honestly.
I guess my main concern is we have no way of verifying the Sidwell is correct at this point, and that's a very important thing that was wrong last time.
Council Chair, if I may.
Sure.
This is a first reading. All of those items can end up being looked at. The ideal would be that you would approve it, consider it to be read for the first time, and then if there are any questions, you would have an opportunity to review it further. The items that Mr. Roberts needed to change have been changed, and I just am not in a position to say I've reviewed his work, because ordinarily we rely on what the other attorneys do. I don't look over everything that other attorneys do that do work for the city in detail. Otherwise, we would be doubling the cost. So,
Well, thank you. Any other comment? Okay, any other items on the agenda approval? Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have approval of minutes. This is the minutes from the regular meeting of February 12th, 2019.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to approve the minutes from February 12th, 2019 as submitted.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Abdullah. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next item on the agenda is public hearing and comment on agenda items. We ask that you come to the podium, limit your conversation to items on our agenda only. You would need to state your name, address, and you have 2 minutes, and at that point, no one from here can comment back to you. You can only just make a statement.
My name is Ed Jackson, live on Kingsbury. I'm just curious from Mr. Miyake, why with the 11B is as far as the proposed ordinance adding city code section 2258 regarding marijuana violations. Why is that in your notes is coming up for a first and second reading, and you've got it listed as an emergency? Do we have a major weed epidemic or something going on right now where this needs to be first and second reading at one pop?
Council Chair, do you want me to respond to that?
We're
or
not
no?
supposed to respond,
Well,
unfortunately.
that was my question. You asked for agenda items. I'm just curious why
When
it's
we go to
not.
the agenda, we can...
When we get to that item,
I mean, I know there's a lot of things going on in the city, but it just seems like an emergency status for something like that is uncalled for.
right.
Madam Chair?
Councilman Abdullah,
What options?
we're not allowed to.
No, I understand it,
We
but I
can't.
think, no, I understand. I'm not answering his question, but I'm saying when we get to that particular item, we could answer his question at that particular point.
That's fine.
If
At
that's
that
the only
point?
thing,
Yeah,
if that's the only
fine.
thing.
We'll do it
I
at
think
that
it's just to
time.
bring it up as a question as to why it was an emergency all of a
Yeah.
sudden.
Sure, thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dr. Rida Elashir. I own my own accounting and tax firm in Dearborn Heights. I have a project in the city under Clear Vision Holdings LLC, which is on Drexel and Mayburn. And I'm honestly shocked and surprised. It was in the last meeting discussion about it. I have no clue about it. And I got notified by third party, someone else, that there is a hearing about my own project, which is gonna make the city extra property tax, nice building, great for community, and discussion running, I have no clue about it. Like, I don't understand. You're calling people for discussion about a project, and the owner of the project is not present. Previously, I received messages and letters from the city for the same project when it was for zoning and for discussion for a major decision. The owner has no clue about it. I couldn't understand how that could be possible. Honestly, I'm shocked, I'm disappointed how it carried to a second meeting that you met, I believe, last month, guys, and now another meeting about my own project. I still have no clue about it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Resident or employee?
The gentleman that just got up, I know him because I've been assisting him during the planning meetings. He's referring to the property that we're talking about that's before you in 11C. And just so you understand what happened, after the last meeting when you guys wanted to table it, which I understood, there was a name correction, and one of the zeros was dropped out of the parcel number. You also requested that night if you could get a map that shows where the property is, which I think I provided to Mr. Roberts to give to you, and also from a statement printed out by the assessing office that shows the correct parcel ID. Unfortunately, by the time I got it to the clerk's office, the incorrect version was already going to go on, and my suggestion to Mr. Roberts was maybe to send the corrected version this way, so I just wanted you to be aware of that.
Thank you.
Sure.
Anyone else have any comments on our agenda items?
Yes.
Name and address, please.
Mike Fay is a real estate broker and an investor in the city of Dearborn Heights, and I would like to talk about the project on George and Mayburn. Dr. Ashar is not new in town, so he does have his own business on Ann Arbor Trail, and he have developed several property in the city of Dearborn Heights. And we need to clarify the issue that was caused a little confusion last time. First, I want to clarify that issue. This is the map of the subject of property we're talking about. On the east side of the property, I can pass it on to council to look at. On the east side of the property is a city-owned street that has nothing to do with Mr. Ashar, and the city is not attending or planning to sell that property. We had approached the city, and the city did say it's not for sale because there's underground sewer. There is a privately owned lot on the west side of that property, one little over an acre, that's privately owned. Dr. Ashar has purchased it and went in front of the building commissioner to get it rezoned for multifamily. What it is coming between a multifamily and a commercial. So that's the best use that could be a multifamily in that location. I cannot imagine any other use. Single family will never go in there because of an apartment building and a commercial. You cannot get a gas station in there. So that's the best use, and it should be taken in a very open arm and appreciate what Mr. Shah has done. And I'm going to show you what Mr. Shah has done in the city of Dearborn Heights.
Okay, now we do have a 2-minute limit.
Well, I tried to make it in 2 minutes, but it's something a lot you need to know about him, who we're dealing with. Mr. Shah has purchased that property just about a year ago, little small home, and he converted it to 3,000 plus square foot home on Hess. This is the home he built, and he sold it to a happy family. Another thing, Mr. Shah bought one lot, and this house, I don't know how much you can see, that's on Fenton, and he built 2 homes, and he sold it to 2 happy family, and those are the size of the homes, 3,000 plus square foot.
Okay, this is limited to agenda items only.
Okay,
Those
we want to
houses are not
clarify
on
the issue. We're dealing with a very reputable, great man, dedicated, spending his millions of dollars in the city, and we need to appreciate and welcome him in the city, not shutting the doors. So that's where he got the news last time. We clarifying the issue and hope that been clarified. And I
Thank you very
appreciate
much.
it. Thank you.
Any other? Now, is this on an agenda item?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Linda Vance. I'm not a resident of Dearborn Heights, but I am the comptroller for Dearborn Heights. As the comptroller for the city of Dearborn Heights, I would like to voice my opinion of the necessity of a forensic audit. That's agenda item 11D. Although I've only been the controller for over a year, I've not seen any mishandling of the city's funds, and if I did, I would have to report my concerns to our auditors. I have been a municipal accountant for almost 20 years, and I have worked at several municipalities, and from all my experience, I have relied on the expertise of the auditors, attorneys, and actuaries for difficult accounting concepts and reporting requirements. I welcome a forensic audit, and I'm confident that no findings will be made. I have worked with the Plant Moran for almost all of the 20 years that I've been working as a municipal accountant, and I'm confident that their audits of the city's books are accurate and the city has not mishandled any of the monies they have received. It is their obligation as an independent auditor to report any findings to the proper authorities if found or suspected. Looking at some of these bullet point items, when it comes to number 2, the city administration did not comply with motion 18347, city budget amendment dated September 5th, 2018. I did the budget amendment. We did cut the salaries. I have all that proof in my office. The city mysteriously finding $890,000 for a project when a council was advised the money was not available. Last board meeting, I provided copies of the audited reports from Plant Moran showing that that number has progressively been growing since 2004. When I started reporting it, and it went from 230,000 to 890. It didn't just mysteriously show up on the books. It's been on the books for as many years. There's various other items regarding the collection, use, and accounting of restricted funds that will be addressed later. I do have an accounting of the water fund allocations that have been done on a monthly basis, showing that money that has been paid out of the water fund has been spent and sent out to the other funds when they have used it. So I welcome an audit. I think there will be no findings, and I'm confident, even though I've only been here for a year, that there's nothing going on with the city's finances. Thank you.
Thank you. Name, address, and 2 minutes, please.
Hi, my name is Lisa Oshansky. I live on West Pleasant Ridge here in Dearborn Heights. I am not only a resident of Dearborn Heights, but also I was previously an auditor with Ford Motor Company. I have never, in all of the time that I audited, reclaimed less than $1 million from any audit to bring back to the company. People that mean well often do make mistakes. That mistake cannot just be, oh, well, so sorry. The reality is that there are rules and regulations, both with accounting and with companies that give you the money, whether that be the CSO fund, whether that be the PEG fund. And for the controller to say, oh, I've never seen money misspent, at the same time that 1 week ago the mayor said to everyone in the community, if I did it, it was a mistake, but I paid salaries out of it. If she's cut a paycheck, then what she just said to me doesn't hold water. That is the reality. That's what accounting does. And when people say, what is forensic auditing? Think of Robert Mueller. When people say to you, follow the money, that's exactly what it is. Forensic accounting is very much a specialty. You are generally a CPA or an attorney, and then you go on for an additional 2 years of study where you're generally snapped up by one of the big law firms in New York or the CIA or the FBI. That is the reality of forensic accounting. It is expensive, but sometimes it is necessary. And I think that there have been numerous questions over the 20 years that I have been a resident. I am not paid by the city, and therefore my thoughts are in fact independent. I wholly support a forensic audit for any account that is questioned.
Thank you. Next, please.
Good evening, Zuhair Abdulhaq. I'm going to talk about the forensic audit. I went back and I looked at Plant Moran audit, and I agree with our controller. They are a great company. They done their job perfectly. They have been warning the city since 2005 and 2006 not to over-levy the CSO taxes on the public, which amounted to $6.8 million up to date. They have in 2011, in their reports, which I have here, they asked the administration to start looking to put money to fund the retiree. Some of you who are retiring, put money in the retiree insurance fund. Nobody heard, nobody listened. Today, from $7 million in 2006, the city is under $111 million deficit. It's going to come from your water fund, from the Act 345. So I believe that there is something else, the 345, which I can say, I don't want to say the number which is overcharged, I let it to somebody else. But the forensic audit is due. If nobody listens for 15 years, it's your duty to make him listen. This is our money. This is what should happen. We don't have to still in 2011, the 21st century, we still writing on papers some accounts. That's shameful.
Thank you very much. Any other comment from the audience? Okay, at this time, we will move on to fund transfers and current claims.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Constant? I wasn't sure if it was you or Ray. I was looking for.
You could have said Muscat. Who's better looking. I move that we approve fund transfers and current claims number 6-1 through 634 as outlined in item 6.
Support.
Supported by Councilwoman Hicks Clayton. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Councilman Bazey.
First item, 6.5. I know we go back and forth on vehicles. This belongs to the water department, but this is charged to the water department for 6.5. if it is, actually, what I'd like to see is a list of vehicles that the city owns, which department owns which vehicles, so we can not waste time at the council meeting, keep asking the same question. Does this vehicle belong to the water department? So that's one. The second item is 610. Again, I have the same issues. We keep going back and forth on this tree trimming. We were told that particular company on 610 that they only do stump removal, but if you look at this invoices of 8,400, a bunch of them here are tree trimming, and also we have some fruit trees, pear trees, apple trees, so this doesn't make sense to me. I don't know why we're trimming trees. I don't know why we have an outside company doing that. Again, I know the answer already. A third item is 620, attorney fees. We're charging $3,422 for the golf course. What's going on for the golf course? Actually, I'd like to hear that one.
There were a number of things that are going on. One of them is that we've been approved for the permanent liquor license. We just have to end up supplying the appropriate paperwork. That will take a little while to end up doing. Another thing is there are quite a few things that need to end up being addressed on an ongoing basis by the administration. I prepared an extensive letter to the mayor outlining those items, and so that was very time-consuming.
I guess I got a question. Why wouldn't they directly contact the mayor? Because he could probably help them quicker than going through you as a middle person.
Who is that?
The golf course.
No, it's a matter that the city has to administer the golf course and work with the concessionaire in terms of the management of the golf course, and there are a lot of issues. It's a very complex matter, and so basically I prepared a very extensive letter for the mayor. It's almost like a report outlining those issues.
Okay, got it. I'm sorry. I thought it was like something was wrong with it that needed to be fixed there or something. Okay.
Council Chair.
Councilman Muscat?
Thank you for, I had that same question, Councilor, and I thank you for the answer, so I can put that one away. Is Mr. Bazey finished?
Councilman Muscat?
I have some, again, go back to 6.5, where we buy the Auto Wares Group for parts.
Okay.
We're buying...
Excuse me, at this point, they have questions on the golf course.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair, thank you.
We can't move on yet.
I didn't
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Point of order, but Mr. Blackburn is waiting to answer Councilman Bazey's questions, I believe, and I think it would be appropriate to have him answer before we go, if I may make that suggestion, please.
Okay, that's fine. I'm sorry, I didn't see you back there. You're hiding.
Councilman Bazey, what questions did you have in particular?
I guess what I need, I still have an issue with outside companies doing trimming, or obviously right now we're not cutting grass. We still need to find out. I know we keep going back and forth and we keep hearing two different answers. First, DPW rather cut the grass. No, DPW rather trim the trees. So we like to find out exactly what's going on with this, and also if we have to go outside, we have to get a bid, I guess, or an RFP. We can't just keep giving the same company over and over this contract to do the work. So I guess my two concerns is we need to find out why we keep going back. I know we had a study session, but I wasn't happy with the answer, because when you talk to certain individuals, they still have an issue with them wanting to do the work. And again, we might have to sit down and figure out a way that the employees have to know in advance if they need overtime, or if they can do the overtime, not the same day, like, hey, like an hour, 2 hours later, or even the same day that they have to work overtime and they refuse, then boom, automatically they go to an outside company. I don't think that's acceptable. Again, I mean, I don't need an answer, but I just need to find out what DPW is gonna do about tree trimming or grass cutting. We're spending a lot of money on both.
Well, for a couple of insights here, there was a bidding process years back, and Dearborn Tree they were the second lowest bidder. The first lowest bidder failed to perform. They ended up getting disqualified, if I remember correctly, because they failed to perform their duties. Dearborn Tree was the second lowest bidder. In the area where they are doing trees, now's the time of year you want to trim oak trees. They were sent in that area because of the number of oak trees. You can't trim and cut oak trees in the summertime. Now's the time to do it. That's why they've been sent in there to do it, because we've been busy with snow plowing, coal patching, and other things, and tree trimming in other areas, and we are waiting for our new truck to come in. Our truck has been broken down a few times, which is putting us behind, and we need to get these trees trimmed before the weather breaks, otherwise we won't be able to touch them until next winter.
Okay, so why is Dearborn Tree cutting fruit trees or trimming fruit trees?
They were sent in that subdivision because of the number of oak trees that need to be cut. They went down the whole streets, and they just trimmed every city tree on that street, not just the oak trees, because then we would have to send somebody back. So they just went down the street, house by house, and they just trimmed every tree that needed to be done.
So why is the city paying to trimming pear trees, apple trees?
Apparently those are trees between the sidewalk and curb, which are city trees.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Wenzel.
Thank you. I want to go back to the golf course charges for our attorney. There's nearly $3,500 in charges, and I look at them and they're like continued research letters to Mayor Pleco. Now, it took a year plus to get this golf course finalized because you had to make sure everything was done correctly. What are these specific details that you want to make the mayor aware of that we didn't come up in the first place, that we have to get these extra charges?
That's not it at all. What it is to administer the golf course appropriately. The mayor needs to be aware of all of the legal issues that are potentially involved in, I would say, probably about 100 pages of agreements.
Wasn't that looked into before we purchased the golf course? Are legal issues that might come up?
That would be something that would be explained afterwards, not before. You would not do a letter that would end up outlining all of these issues in detail, which basically is a document that the mayor or whoever he ends up designating to administer these things would be able to end up using to recognize certain things that they otherwise would not recognize without doing a review, and then they would be making essentially a review of stuff as non-lawyers trying to figure out legal stuff.
Do you foresee this being an ongoing issue for every year that we own the golf course?
In terms of that, no.
No.
No,
okay.
I look at that as here's a basic legal user guide with respect to all of these issues. When people are involved, they can end up looking at it and having references to where they need to go in order to basically make sense of these issues. Okay. But it's a very complex transaction.
Well, I'm sure it took quite a while to do it. A concern of mine was that last week I spoke with a major business owner on Ford Road and Beach Daily, and he asked me what we were going to do with the golf course property. And I said, well, the city owns it. He said, yeah, I know. He said, what are you going to do with it? I said, well, it's a golf course. He said, I thought you were selling it to a developer. I mean, since we bought the golf course, there has been no PR work done to promote the golf course, and on the city's part that I know of. There's weddings coming up that I'm sure if someone knew it was available, they might book it, and graduation parties, golf outings, leagues, things of that nature. Well, do we plan on doing any advertising for the golf course sooner, or what are we going to do, to sit on it, or
well, Councilman, that would not be my question for me.
Yeah, let me respond to that. We are getting very close because I brought a gentleman who was in the PGA Hall of Fame. Even the operator said, wow, I can't believe you got him. And we wanted to have somebody back around Thanksgiving is when I brought the proposal to the council to start analyzing and get a marketing plan. I mean, we could all guess, but we're not in the golf course and banquet business. This is a gentleman who had run banquet golf courses and knows just about everything about it. From what everybody told me, you couldn't have gotten a better guy. You, as a council, directed me to go back and do RFPs and get other people. I have had a very difficult time, but I may have actually got 3 or 4 people now who will look at the golf course, but it is already the end of February. We couldn't move any faster than we have. I still think after we bring the other proposals, my guess is you'll probably select the guy we originally brought in Thanksgiving because of his knowledge. He's retired, so he doesn't have any access to grind or doesn't want to go into business, because he made it very clear to all of us that he's retired, but he was willing to come in and work up a marketing plan and suggestions. That's the course we're going down, no pun intended, and I now believe that I'm very close to getting 4 proposals. When I get 3, I will call the chair and ask her to set up a meeting, and you can listen to the proposals. But it's taken me that long because it's become very difficult to find people who are actually willing to perform that service.
Okay, well, I'd like to start right now in saying that the golf course and banquet facilities are fully operational and open for business.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, may I?
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you, Councilman Wenzel, for bringing that up. That was on my list to follow up on, and I'm glad that the RFP, you have some that will be presented. I would like to sit on those as well, Madam Chair. But with that being said, my question is for the mayor. I know we had talked about visioning, I call them visiting sessions, where we engage our residents, their input, since they do own the golf course through their tax dollars. If you can share with us, is there a plan to have that happen? And if so, the timeline, please.
That is, the hope was to get a individual or individuals, companies to come in, and then we can look and talk about those kind of things. But right now it would be this 7 or 8 or 9 of us doing the interviews, and like I said, I don't know of anybody here. Some of you, I'm not a golfer, some of you are, but to run a golf course and a banquet center, you need a certain degree of expertise, in my opinion. And I'm not opposed to that, but everything got held up when I was asked to go out to get other individuals, which I have been working very diligently trying to do.
Madam Chair, just real quick, when I think of visioning session, and I know, like, I'm not an expert in golf. Interesting enough, my dad managed a golf course, but with that being said, I'm thinking more as an expanded recreation opportunities, to how to utilize that space. It's a green space, it's a gem. How do we expand on that to make it a place to come? Whether it's cross-country skiing or whatever they may look like, that's really what I'm referring to, is expanded recreation, because again, that is owned by the Dearborn Heights, the residents of Dearborn Heights, and their tax dollars, and I would like to see that be a place to come.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Abdullah?
When we do meet, just like we met the last time during the study session, it is an open study session. So at that particular point, obviously, when the different people that come to present, obviously the residents will have access and be able to give us their input. Although I would like personally to see that expedited as much as possible. I know you gave us a one choice, but unfortunately, a lot of us just felt one choice is just not enough to be able to make a decision. So, as fast as we could get this thing done, then we could get this thing up and operating and being profitable and useful to a lot of the residents.
Yeah, I started the day after the council asked me to bring other people. I really have, and Councilman, it's been very difficult. I think I'm very close. It's kind of unusual. I actually had a couple leads, and then the people said they did not want to. One of the things I will say, because I think Councilman Wenzel suggested it, but I did talk to the operator. He seemed to be opposed to cross-country and things that will tear up the course, and he spoke very strongly that he wanted to limit those kinds of activities because of the effect on the golf course. Now, I said up front, I I'm not a golfer. I don't know what kind of damage that would do, but our operator cautioned me. He's talked more about, and I've had a few friends of mine that are golfers that said you really should have 1 or 2 simulation courses in there. So they took me to a place that has it, and so I at least have a familiarity with what that is. But in this time, in this season, when you can't golf outside, these simulation games are very popular. And so, but that is quite an investment. The other thing you should all be aware of, that Mr. Miyake is working very hard at getting that golf course restricted forever and ever so that it could not lead to a development. And so he has been working on that, and we saw that as a very important element to work on. So that has taken some priority over the other stuff.
Okay, Councilman Abdullah?
Yeah, I'd just like to add, Mr. Mayor, is that the current operator there is staying there as we speak. So, for the residents that, we're speaking in terms of different marketing people that may be coming in. This is just to market it and take it to the next level. But the current operator is still there. They're still in charge. So therefore, the golf course will be open. There's nothing, it's not like a new person is going to come in hypothetically in March and start from scratch, including opening it up. The operator is still there. That had been there for how many years, Mr. Mayor? Is it 4 years, 4 years, whatever it is?
Fall of 2016.
Yeah, so he's been there already for 4 years, and it's the same person that will still be operating it. Therefore, it will be open for business.
Council
Okay,
Chair?
thank you. Councilman Muscat, and then
I got a
we'll
few
move on.
questions, but to piggyback on that, I was going to mention about asking the council chair to authorize the city attorney to start procedures on having a deed restriction on that
That's
property.
already been
we
done.
had.
It's already
And I just, I didn't know that it was already started. I was going to ask, but since that's taken care of, that's great. And one suggestion is turn the lights on so somebody can see the sign at night that it's warned up. You drive by there, it's like a ghost town there. We turn the light on, let everybody know there's still a golf course there. Either winter, summer, doesn't matter. Turn the light on. But anyway, I go back to 6.5, and I believe this will be for Mr. Blackburn, Council Chair. We see all of these parts being ordered, but what I would like to see is what vehicle they go on. Give me a VIN number also. I mean, I'm getting oil filters and harmonic balancers, and what are they for? A BMW, a Land Rover, a Crown Vic? I don't know what they're for. And brake calipers, I don't know what kind of vehicle they go on. You're just saying that you purchase them. It would be nice to say, this is for so-and-so vehicle, license plate number, VIN number, this is what it's going on. Just to buy a brake caliper and tell me you buy a brake caliper is not any help to this body to approve things of this nature. Again, we go back to the sentiment that I've said before, good faith. My good faith is running out very slowly.
Okay.
So that's one on 5. That's something I would like to see for a future, is when parts are purchased for a vehicle, the vehicle number, the type of vehicle, and the VIN number be put on these sheets.
Okay.
And then I have one, 611, Field Training Officer Program. I'd just like to know what training it was and who went. I guess that's for our chief.
Chief?
On the invoice, on the invoice, it says officers Graff, Horning, and towards it.
Okay.
January 14th through the 18th, 2019, Troy Police Training Center.
What kind of training is it?
It's field training officer. They go to learn how to train new hires.
Oh, okay, so it's like train the trainers. Right. Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, if I might, starting on Monday, the new DPW director will be starting. When I interviewed with him, because he has a lot of experience in this particular area, that I gave him the carte blanche and the assignment of looking at how we deal with things in our DPW, and not to be making radical change for radical change, but where he sees improvement, by all means, I gave him the green light. So he's got a lot of items. This inventory thing is one of them that I've asked him to. I don't know that he's going to get to it right away, but let's bring him, when we bring him in and he starts Monday, I'm asking him to review the operations that we have done there.
Perfect.
And it's the gentleman that you had proposed before? That's good.
Councilman, be
Good, thank
recognized.
you.
Please be recognized before you speak.
John Salmi.
Okay, any other? Okay, we're done with the agenda. All right. This is for fund transfers and current claims. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
Councilman Bazey is opposed. Next item on the agenda is under consideration of bids. We have Community and Economic Development Director Hashem. This is an item that was tabled at the previous council meeting for CDBG FY 2015 Good Neighbor Program for 26115 Powers, 26166 Powers, 24759 Hopkins. It's a demolition bid award and contract.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Bazey?
I recommend to move this item to a study session. There's still a lot of questions as the last meeting or the last time we discussed this. Again, we can stay here for a long time discussing this, so what I did is I put bullet points, what I'd like to see before we vote on this. Are these houses legally condemned? Who condemned them if they're livable? Who approved the demolition? Under what HUD CDBG provision this program was approved for? I'd like to see what the IDIS code, for the program that approved this demolition, also what the CDBG program is funding this. And the other thing is I'd like to find out what can we offer these homes to first responders, teachers, disabled veterans at a reasonable rate. They can put the code up to put the house up to code. Same thing as we did with the land bank, or what Detroit Land Bank does. They have 3 different ways. They sell it as is, they auction it, they renovate the property, then sell it, just so we can keep the tax base. This will keep generating tax money for the city instead of demolishing. And the last item, it was mentioned at the last meeting that there was buyers, potential buyers for this. So for the study session, I'd like to see who the potential buyers are, and also the amount. And I was concerned, I was looking at one of the homes next door to one of the houses that needs to be demolished, that one of the real estate agents actually put a statement that was kind of questioned, that they were already assuming, so I don't know if there's what's going on with this one. They mentioned that Dearborn Heights is scheduled for demolition, and this is an opportunity for a double lot in the near future for the new homeowner for one of the houses next door. So this does not make sense, so I don't know why somebody was promised this before this thing got approved, so I recommend to move this to a study session to discuss in details.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton?
Madam Chair, I would support that, but I'd like to make a request for clarification from our parliamentarian, our city clerk. When something is tabled, and my understanding is we have to have a motion to bring it back before we can take a motion to put it into a study session. So is that correct, sir?
That's correct. There should be a motion made to remove from the table.
So
okay, I make a motion to move it from the table.
Okay, seconded by Councilwoman Hicks Clayton. Any further discussion?
So now I have to put a motion for...
vote on the motion.
We have to vote on it.
Yeah.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it.
Okay, now I'll put a motion to move this to a study session so we can go through these items that I had concerns with, Madam Chair.
And I would support the motion.
Okay, Councilman Bazey, and then Councilwoman Hicks Clayton supports it. Any further discussion?
Madam Chairman.
Councilwoman
Chairwoman,
Hicks?
I'm sorry. Chairwoman. Councilman Bazey, thank you for sharing that. I know you did some research on that. I want to add, when you talked about home ownership for veterans, our first responders, and teachers who are really like everyday heroes, and I just think we don't do enough. But I wanted to share, there are programs in other communities throughout the state of Michigan, including Battle Creek and Muskegon, and they have titles, catchy titles like Welcome Home. But what they do is they offer this incentive to come back to live in our community and seek establishing residency here through home ownership. And we know home ownership is equivalent to home pride and pride in your community and investment in our community. So therefore, I think that's something, if we, moving forward through the study session, we can talk about that more, please.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Muscat?
Just a quick statement. I know I spoke with Director Hashem. He explained this whole thing to me, and it was really nice speaking with him, and he was completely open with this situation for me. But then I saw the ad about with the real estate agent saying that, and it kind of threw a red flag up to me. So that's starting a little bit of a process in my mind of what's going on.
Okay.
Okay, I just want to make that clear.
We have Councilman Abdullah next, please. And I'm sorry, I skipped over my shouldn't.
That's okay.
That's okay. Madam Chair, I just wanted to bring up in regards to these particular properties. These are properties, or very similar properties, we've already agreed to demolition in the past, as you've seen from the attachments. And these particular properties have major defects, and that's why they're in need of demolition. These are not properties, and of course, we have to rely on people that we have appointed. Director Hashem has mentioned this. I know Director McIntyre has mentioned the same thing, that these have major, major defects. So yes, I'm all in favor of giving these to first responders or even residents in general. But these are not properties that are either habitable or can be fixed. Basically, it's just not worth fixing is the bottom line. So at the very minimal, instead of keeping, we mentioned that we want to take care of the residents, and that's great. But there's residents right next door to these homes that are probably totally in favor of getting rid of these homes, tearing them down, having a vacant lot, putting up a new home, having a higher tax base, a nicer home next door. So I'm in favor of bringing a tax base. I'm in favor of having nice houses. But these are homes that many, many times in the past, and we have the list here, that they've torn down because they're just not habitable. So at the very minimal, and I've spoken with Director Hashem about this, I think you should give them an opportunity to say what condition these homes are in.
Have you seen any of these homes?
And for that, no, I personally have not. But it is not my job to personally go and make a determination that yes, this should be torn down, and no, it should not be torn down. As experienced as I am in real estate, as an agent, I still don't tell a purchaser, let's tear this house down or do that for up to code or whatever. There are people assigned to do that, and that's why you bring private inspectors or city inspectors to make those determinations, and that's what we have here.
Thank you.
Also, I'd like to clear up, I'm sorry, one last thing. I spoke with Director Hashem, and the issue that we mentioned last time where, with the name, there was no connection. I just want to clarify for the residents. There was no connection with Good Neighbor program that's on the HUD website.
Okay, Councilman.
And I think he could mention something about that.
Yeah, and I think we have to, keeping up on things, it's going to be CDBG money that is going to be used to tear down these homes. They're in bad shape. They've been condemned. They're owned by the city, but the city's not going to have to pay for them. We're going to be able to use the HUD money. I heard what Councilwoman Lisa Hicks Clayton said, but we're not going to be able to start a new program with these condemned houses. There are state programs and federal programs for veterans and different people. But these, we want to, I would think, move this process along and get these homes demolished and utilize the HUD money.
Right. Thank you.
Madam Chair, we have, on the floor is a motion.
So at this point, the motion again is, could you read it back again?
Okay.
Your motion is to move
my motion is to move it to a study session because, I did review what was presented to us, and there's a lot of gaps. It says that an ordinance director condemned these homes. There's no inspection report. We're just assuming what somebody puts in front of us, and I'm not going to sign my name on something that I assume that somebody did their due diligence. But this here, it was signed by an ordinance director says that these homes to be demolished. There's no inspection report. There's nothing on here. I don't know who approved the demolition. Again, we don't know where the money's coming from. If the money's coming from the government, I need to see what provision, what the IDAS code is and what that says. I can't take somebody's word for it. Somebody can tell me all day long that.
Okay, well,
Okay, so
we have a
that's why
motion on the table.
Council Chair?
Should we take a vote on it at this time?
Councilman, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Madam Chairman.
Sure. Director Hashem, please step up to the microphone.
Madam Chair, I'm the director of the CDBG. I did put this back on the table. I did reach out to you. I talked to Councilman Muscat, also talked to Councilman Dave Abdallah. The name itself is just a name that we came up with that sounded good. You can change that name. It has nothing to do with HUD or provisions. I don't know what a provision is. It's a line item that we came up with, period. As far as the houses, I have driven by those houses. I have also made some attachments to some other houses that we have demolished. Those houses are way, way beyond repair. There's not like you can put a plaster on them. It's not like you have a, I mean, the walls are separated from each other. There's gaps in the hole, in the ground. Basements are full of dirt. They're just beyond repair. All we are doing is I'm following Director McIntyre and I'm helping him demolish these houses. The body of the city council did approve me to go out for bids. And I did go out for bids, and now I'm asking you to approve the lowest bidder.
Okay, thank
That's
you.
all.
At this time, we do have a motion on.
I'm sorry, I would like to say one more thing.
We only
please.
do,
Just one
this will be
more.
last time, but
Yes,
you're
it will
only,
be.
we're going to follow Robert's rules after
Yes,
this.
absolutely.
Thank you.
I do want to respond to the question of programs, and I want to say I think it's imperative that we are innovative thinkers here at this table. It doesn't have to be a program today, but if we're a city with a future, then we think innovative, and how do we attract people to live in our community? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion on the table.
Can you repeat the motion, please?
The motion is to take the Community and Economic Development Director's tabled item and move it to a study session. That would be item 7A. At this time, I'd like to take a vote on it. So this would be moving it to a study session if you vote yes. Okay. All those in favor of moving this to a study session, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
Okay, those opposed are Councilman Muscat, Councilman Constant, and Councilman Abdallah. Motion's carried to move it to a study session. Next item on the agenda is Park and Recreation Deputy Director Constant to advertise for bids for 10 heavy-duty 6-foot picnic tables.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Move to concur with Deputy Director Kim Constant and approve the advertisement of bids as outlined in 7B.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Bazey. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next item on the agenda is DPW Superintendent Blackburn to advertise for bids for one rooftop HVAC unit at the Fire Department headquarters.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdallah.
I move that we concur with Director Michael Blackburn for the Department of Public Works requesting approval to have the Comptroller's Office advertise for bids to replace one rooftop HVAC unit at the Fire Department headquarters as outlined in item 7C.
Support.
Supported by Councilwoman Hicks Clayton. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Under reports from Mayor, we have Dearborn Heights Public Employees Association Memorandum of Understanding.
Council Chair.
Councilman Muscat.
I move that City Council approve the attached memorandum of understanding between the City of Dearborn Heights and the Dearborn Heights Public Employees Association and authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign as outlined in 8A.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Bazey. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next item is Dearborn Heights Supervisors Association Letter of Understanding.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Abdallah.
I move that we concur with Mayor Dan Paletko with the attached letter of understanding between the City of Dearborn Heights and the Dearborn Heights Supervisors Association, otherwise known as DHSA. This calls for the party amongst all of the members' wages of the Dearborn Heights Supervisors Association is outlined in item 8B.
Support to open up for discussion.
Supported by Councilman Muscat. Is there any discussion?
Yes, Council Chair.
Councilman?
When we did the contract, how much does the contract change now that we're going to be, obviously, it looks like we're going to be given raises. And if we give raises, don't we have to get an actuarial report before we do anything?
Is Elizabeth, I'm going to ask.
And then we don't even know what the raises are.
25 cents an hour.
It's not stated on there, is it? It's okay, it's not stated on there.
You've got, this will treat all the supervisors the same. It was an oversight.
This affects 2 people.
What's the exact dollar amount it affects them?
25 cents an hour, and then, so that tacks onto their base wage.
It's not stated here.
It's not stated in there, though.
Can we get that in, I mean, I'm willing to approve this without a problem, but we need to have that language put in here so we know exactly what we're approving. Again, like I said, good faith to me has ended. I need to have it documented.
So could
if it's 25 cents or $2, no, I need to have
Thank you, Councilman. Could you redo this to put that language in there so it's clear?
So in this particular contract, as you will see, it's a % of the laborer. Okay. So it's based on the TPOAM or DHPEA contract, and then the supervisor's salary is driven on a percentage of that.
Councilman Wenzel, I'm sorry, excuse me. Councilman Wenzel's turn.
Is there any other monies involved as far as fringe benefits or vacation time?
Oh, they're offered the same benefits that everyone else is.
This will have all the supervisors at the same level. It was a mistake. It wasn't caught right away.
Council Chair?
Councilman Abdullah.
Yeah, I think it's probably best, just for all fairness, just to have the corrected version, and at the next meeting, based on the comments, we'll just approve it, or at least I presume.
At the next meeting, yeah, as long as it's written in there, I don't see a problem. So can we do that?
Just to clarify, so you want the actual stated wage?
Yes, that's what they want.
And then, as you mentioned, Director, you said, because this was for one, but you mentioned it's a little bit more than one, isn't it, for 2 people or 3 people?
There's usually 2 people in building.
Okay, so just making sure that we clarify that on there.
Okay. Okay, so at this point, we're going to table it.
Refer back to the administration, and we'll do the change.
Okay, we'll refer this back.
We have a motion on the floor.
We have a motion on the table.
Do you want to redo your motion?
Why don't you restate the motion?
I made the motion, so I'd like to amend my motion on item
8B.
On item 8B, to amend the motion to table this until there's been a change from administration to re-vote on this.
Okay.
We'll refer it back to the administration.
Refer it back to the administration.
Okay, is it supported?
Support.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion is referred back to administration. Next item is Dearborn Heights Police Supervisors Association of Michigan Letter of Understanding.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Abdullah.
I move that we concur with Mayor Dan Paletko. This is with the attached letter of understanding between the City of Dearborn Heights and Dearborn Heights Police Supervisors Association, otherwise known as DHPSA. This letter includes the articles that were negotiated in Dearborn Heights Police Officers Association, but not in the Dearborn Heights Police Supervisors Association. And there's been some changes in the language as outlined, minor changes in the language as outlined in item 8C.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Constant. Is there any discussion?
I don't fully understand this.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
I mean, I really don't
All right,
fully
wait,
understand.
please be recognized. Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. If Councilman Muscat wants to go, I think we're going
Go
to
ahead.
probably say the
Be
same thing.
recognized.
I mean, we, through negotiations and lawyers and contracts and all this. I'm curious I understand the changes, what you're asking for is it looks like possible equalization, but with that being said, there are several items on here. It's not just a few. This is actually a 3-page document with a 4th page being signature page. And I think it would be prudent of us to review this in a study session and talk about actuarial report. There's a lot of things we have to look at, especially with legacy cost. You know, we have Public Act 202 already, but of course this is police, so that may not necessarily fall under them. But I think there's questions here.
Okay,
understandable. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay, on...
Make a comment, Elizabeth. There's a motion to move it to study session.
So should we make a motion to move it to a study session?
You have a motion on the table, Madam Chair. Unless those individuals are willing to amend their motions, we would vote on it. If it fails, then someone else could make a second motion to refer to study session. Is their choice?
Go ahead, anybody?
Madam Chair.
Councilman Constant?
I'd like to hear if
what Elizabeth has to say.
Personnel Director has anything to say.
Well, the one theme that you will see in each of the articles is that this applies to people that were hired after April 13th of 2011. So many of these people had all been in, obviously they had all been in the POAM contract. Now, because of the we've had quite a few retirements. We have a lot of those people who are now eligible to write for promotions, and they are getting promoted. And so there are things that are in the POAM contract that don't carry over to the COAM contract. And so we would you certainly don't want to discourage people for applying for promotion. So with regards to retiree benefits, the POAM contract and all of those new hires, quote unquote, new hires from 2011, they are not afforded the traditional retiree health care. And so that is one of the items that's stated in the COAM or DHP, you know, all these acronyms, so the supervisor's contract.
Okay, great, thanks. Okay, the motion here is for...
Madam Chair. I'd like to amend my motion on item 8C to take this to a study session.
I'll second that.
Second by Councilman Bazey. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next item, we have emergency sewer lining and repairs. Lanzo Lining Services approval of payment.
We're on what? 8D?
Madam Chair.
We're on 8D.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that we approve the payment amount of $89,201.80 to Lanzo Lining Services as outlined in 8D.
Support.
Support by Councilman Abdullah. Is there any discussion?
Council Chair.
Councilman Muscat.
Unfortunately, this past weekend, I had an email sent to me by one of our citizens, and I want to thank Dave Borowski for getting in touch with me today, giving me all the particulars of what went on. Thank you for all your help. But the citizen had a major problem at his house, and it's Lanzo Lining. And I know it's going to be, the city has done their part, and it's going to be between the homeowner and Lanzo. But since the company works for us, and we owe them $89,201, I would think that the city should put extreme pressure on Lanzo Lining to fulfill their duty to our resident for the damage caused to his backyard, to his home. And I visited the site, and it was just, I couldn't live there. I wouldn't even step foot in the house, to be honest with you. And I really believe we owe them $89,000. We should hold something back in escrow to make sure that their insurance company makes our citizen whole. That's how I feel, my opinion, without knowing any other facts. But I'm sure that that the gentleman is right, and when the situation, how it occurred, they would agree with me.
Okay, Councilman Abdullah asked you.
Were you next?
Were you next? Go ahead, Councilman
I'm just
Hicks
going to, if I
Clayton.
may, thank you,
Sure.
Madam Chair. The same resident had contacted probably most of us.
Yes.
And I think probably most of us, if not all of us, received that call today. So I wanted to also say thank you to Dave Drabowski. And one thing that was mentioned is that Lanzo is sending out an insurance adjuster, so we have to continue to encourage that settlement on behalf of our resident, because it seems like that's where the liability fell. So thank you to everyone who was part of that resolution for our resident.
Okay, Councilman Adela.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I just want to say I spoke with the resident, and I do understand his concern. I know the cities agreed that there was a mistake made, and even Lanzo themselves have agreed that there's been a mistake made. They have made an insurance claim, but I tell you, just like in the real estate business, I 100% agree with Councilman Ray Muscat. I don't agree, I don't know if that's what you said, escrow, partial escrow. I don't agree with holding the full amount back, because we're going to have a very difficult time with a lot of contractors wanting to work with our city. But I do agree with Councilman Muscat to hold some amount. And I'd just like to throw it out there right now, $10,000, just to throw a number out there, until that's been made whole, and at that particular point reimburse Lanzo lining services. They are a brand new company that we're working with right now, and we had held off on paying them the last time because of the situation with the director being here. But I think that'd be a good idea, Councilman, holding, I'm just throwing out there an amount of $10,000.
Just to piggyback on that, I don't know, again, I said what I said, but I don't know what the legalities of that are. But even if the city put pressure on Lanzo to put pressure on their insurance company to get the ball rolling, I mean, I don't want to live in a house that was full of sewage. I wouldn't want to do it. I know I wouldn't do it. Okay, so that's all I'm saying is somebody, the administration could call Lanzo, or the DPW could call Lanzo, say, look, we don't care where the money comes from you or your insurance company, but our citizen needs to be made whole immediately. Work needs to be started immediately. So first of all, inside the home, clean it up, make it livable, and then when the weather breaks, repair his backyard. And that's how I feel about it, for any citizen.
Councilman Wenzel?
Can we explain to the citizens what happened here? Because we've been talking about it for 10 minutes, and probably no one knows what happened. Is it fair?
Go ahead and briefly.
Well, what happened is they lined their sewer pipe on the main line, and they failed to cut the hole into his sewer properly, where his sewer was not flowing into the main line, and everything backed up into his house. And that was the backyard dug up, and it's quite a mess.
Yeah, Madam Chair, if I might, Mr. Brooks might be the person, if we're going to hold some retainage, would be able to give us an estimate, but the company Lanzo and their representative have been very apologetic and have insisted that they will do everything to improve this. And so they had their equipment shipped to Florida. They immediately got a hold of a local company to make that cut into the line, and they have just been profusely saying we're sorry, and said that, and we've insisted that they have to make that resident whole. And I wouldn't even have a problem if they went beyond that, because that was a very unfortunate circumstance, and I feel for the residents. So, but as far as a retainer, I can't give you an estimate, but maybe Mr. Brooks could.
Mr. Brooks, do you have an idea?
Typically in contracts, you get a 10% retainage until you... Madam Chair, go ahead.
Councilman.
I just thought of this idea, and I think this would probably be the best way to do this, provided that our counsel, Gary Miyake, can tell us that this is legal and this can be done. This is where I would want to do it if I was negotiating this thing. I would make Lanzo fix it with their money.
Yes.
I'd have the the homeowner sign something that, or Lanzo, whoever, once they get the insurance money, they'd go right back to Lanzo. The homeowner doesn't want the money. The homeowner just wants it fixed. But I don't think it's fair for the homeowner to have stuff, without getting into the details, inside his basement while we have an insurance claim going and waiting for the insurance company to approve it. Because this insurance company, whoever they are, doesn't care about the residents as much as we do, obviously. And I think that would probably be the best way, provided that our council can draw something up. Lanzo puts up the money, Lanzo fixes it. When insurance money comes in, they get reimbursed. And they including, like you mentioned, Mr. Mayor, maybe getting some compensation for the stress that he's gone through.
Yeah, Lanzo had agreed that, and so the city is not bearing any of the costs, because my feeling was, we hired you to do this, and you didn't perform, so consequently, that whole liability rests with Lanzo.
Correct.
And they did not object to it and disagree and said that.
Good.
Okay, Councilman Bazey?
Madam Chair, I guess what is the root cause of this problem? I know we have invoices that come in front of us for an engineering company or contractor that's supposed to be inspecting projects. In this case, whoever that was, I don't know if they failed to inspect that. I mean, what the root cause that this gentleman that had an issue with his house, did somebody not inspect that work before they, I guess they sealed it or filled? I mean, I don't know what the root cause of the problem. I don't know who inspected it, who was supposed to be inspected.
Yeah, it was an emergency item, so it was not in the normal course, and so these were had to be done immediately, and then while they did the service, they forgot to make the cut into the one gentleman's home. Now, I'm not going to sit here and guess as to how that happened. I do not know how it happened.
Okay,
well, we definitely want to make sure that this does not happen again.
Councilman
with, other
Constant?
residents.
Yeah, and excavate, I mean, that's basic to the line from the house to the sewer. That's a real bad mistake, but I agree with our city engineer, Dan Brooks. Typically for punch list items, and this is not punch list, this is more than punch list, to withhold 10%, 15%, 20%. And then they can, because their insurance carrier may say, well, no, it's not covered because there was this exclusion or this or that, to withhold the payment and we'll let the homeowner know we're doing that till he's happy.
From what I've seen, it's $9,000. It's not going to cover much at that house.
Okay, let's be recognized. Okay, any other discussion? Okay, at this point, are we amending the motion to withhold money or just putting it through?
What was the amount?
10%.
10%? And that would more than cover it? No. Or is that just an incentive? How much would it take to cover it?
I have no idea what's the condition of the basement.
Well,
I believe we were working on the project, but
okay.
it's probably about 10,000.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Madam
Councilwoman
Chair,
Hicks Clayton
thank
made the
you.
motion.
I was the maker of the motion, and without the attorney's, recommendation to withhold money, I would not do so. So maybe have an opinion from you, Counselor.
All right, my sense is that there's been a failure to perform according to the terms of the agreement. My sense would be that rather than withhold, you could just basically put a hold on this until the next meeting.
So,
I agree with that.
Chair, I would amend my motion to table this and we can bring it back the next agenda.
Second by Councilman Bazey. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have request to purchase sweepers.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Abdullah.
I move we concur with Mayor Dan Paletko in regards to item, which was, we had two of the city, this is AE, two of the city's street sweepers were requiring almost daily service, and due to that, they are, the mayor's department is asking that the city council authorize the purchase of two sweepers at the state of Michigan contract pricing of $274,533 each, with a trade-in of $5,000 per machine, totaling $539,066, with a down payment of $50,000 from the water budget, and authorizing the treasurer, John Riley II, to pursue Act 99 funding to finance this purchase over 5 years as outlined in item 8E.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Muscat. Is there any discussion?
Council Chair, just one.
Councilman Muscat?
I just hope that we set up a good preventative maintenance schedule for these vehicles and adhere to it, so they last us many, 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 many years.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Councilman Wenzel?
See that we're going to have a new DPW director. Was he involved in this decision at all?
No, he was not, but it's generally recognized we need to replace so that we're able to keep up our planned street sweeping, and it takes so long to get these things that I don't see where he would be in disagreement at all.
Well, I'm definitely in favor of more street sweepers. However, I didn't see did this go out for bids, and I know our newest street sweeper that we have we can't even buy parts for it because it's obsolete. The newest one we have. So what's guaranteeing that these aren't going to fall into that situation?
Well, if we keep them 25, 30 years, we'll probably end up the same situation. But to answer your previously question, both we used the state of Michigan contract bid, and so that is, these have already been bid out by the state of Michigan, so that's the bid we're using.
Okay, well, just so that everybody know, they're $274,000 a piece.
Yes.
Over $500,000. It's a big investment. And we've talked to a lot of people from the highway department, and they need them, and I've stopped. I've looked at the street sweepers in action, and they're literally held together with zip ties and duct tape.
It's true.
I'm not joking.
Yes.
Holes in the floor, but we got to make sure, just to come all of a sudden come up with this without informing us what your plan was. You didn't give us any indication that you were going to go out for these street sweepers. I know we talked about it, but
yeah, we talked about it in the last water department budget, and we need these badly.
Well, I know we need them badly, for sure.
Okay. At this point, is there any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Opposed.
Councilman Wenzel is opposed. Next, under reports from city officials, we have Chief of Staff Laszlo, Microsoft Office 365 Plan E3, subscription license, 1 year, purchase and payment.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Constant.
I move we concur with Christine Laszlo and approve the licenses for Microsoft Office 365 Plan E3 for 1 year, and approve purchase and payment as outlined in 9A.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Muscat. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Councilman Abdullah.
Just for clarification, I looked into the unit price. Honestly, when I first looked at this, $68,205, I thought, whoa, that's a lot of money for some programs. But based on the fact that it was for 300 units of this particular program, I called my company's IT guy and just checked with him, and he said that's a pretty good number, because in general, most places charge about $250 a piece. So I was getting it at $227 a piece was good price, so just FYI.
Good.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Constant.
Point out that Tarek from Dearborn IT is here, and I know a lot of law offices, they try to get away with using the old versions of Microsoft, and not only for email, but for word processing. It's hard to get an email client that'll, if you get a lot of emails, segregate your emails properly and so forth. So an Outlook is sort of the standard.
What they're getting is the enterprise version of Office 365. Microsoft have decided to go into the 365 platform, and basically a lot of organizations are going that route. That will include even archiving, compliance, antivirus, a lot of stuff that protect the Office environment is in that package too. It has 100 gig per user for a mailbox, plus they can share documents with other Office members by just joining groups and collaboration. So there's a lot of benefits to go with Office 365. That's why we're making that kind of recommendation to your staff.
Great, thank you so much. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have Comptroller Vance, fixed asset software purchase.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to concur with Comptroller Linda Vance and purchase the BSNA fixed asset software as outlined in 9B.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Bazey. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have Corporation Counsel request for increase in compensation for Corporation Counsel in all firms acting as assistant corporation counsels.
Council Chair.
Councilman Muscat.
I move that council approve the request from Corporation Counsel Gary Miyake to increase the services of from $135 per hour to $140. It's a $5 increase, and I believe it's a very good rate if you go out and look around, and as outlined in 9C.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Constant. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Councilman Abdullah.
I looked into this fee, and obviously I'm aware of dealing with different attorneys in my business, so this is a very fair fee, even checked with other cities. But the only thing I kind of didn't like with this, and I don't know if this is proper or improper, but I honestly, I had a little bit of a hard time with a person asking for himself, because typically it comes from administration, maybe the mayor's office or, whoever. And that's the only thing I thought was a little gray area, maybe.
The mayor and I had discussed this, so he asked me to submit a letter.
Okay, so a request. I thought it would have been, maybe come from the mayor's office instead of directly from the person that's going to get the raise. But well deserved and fair. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Bazey?
Yeah, I just don't understand. I mean, I don't need an answer, but I don't understand why it's coming up now, not when we start talking about the budget, a few months.
Yeah, I guess I got a question. Why this doesn't run parallel with the budget?
Madam Chair?
Do you have the answer?
I think part of it is the Coal Seacrest, or whatever they're called now, Seacrest Wardle, had an issue about their fee. They're a big firm, and they have a big municipal law department. But I'll let the city attorney speak.
If you want
sure.
me to.
Would you please?
Seacrest Wardle had raised this issue some time ago in terms of the level of compensation. And we have a very unique and quality mix of attorneys doing work for the city, many of whom have done work for the city for many, many years. And they were indicating that the hourly rate was simply not keeping pace with their costs of doing business. And so that's how this matter arose. And I spoke to the other attorneys doing work for the city, and they agreed that it was kind of overdue in terms of an increase of $5.
Yeah, if I might add, Madam Chair, that I was afraid they would just walk away. It was on, I've held this off, and finally a lot of pressure was being from the firm onto Mr. Roberts, and I think he offers a lot of value to our planning commission and those, but also we utilize their firm for tax work where people challenge and appeals, and I think that it would be very difficult to just find a replacement. So not to lose them, this is why it was put on now.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion?
Madam Chair.
Councilman Wenzel.
Can you tell me the difference between the hourly rate, normal hourly rate, and the district court charges?
Well, as was on the agenda today, the district court rate is $730 for a full day and $450 for a half day.
Okay, now does this rate apply to anybody on the staff working on an hour, like a clerk?
No, Seacrest Wardle ends up having a reduced hourly rate for their paralegal, who's very skilled with respect to Michigan Tax Tribunal matters. Other than that, this is not a staff rate. This is all for attorneys, who would probably ordinarily be charging at least $200, $250 per hour, easily, given the level of attorneys we have. I mean, I've been practicing over 30 years. Mr. Beckerleg, who is the tax tribunal attorney, has been practicing more than I have. Mr. McCulley, who you know in terms of water work, has been practicing longer than Mr. Beckerleg has. So we have a lot of high-quality attorneys who've been practicing for a long time, and that's the rate. I don't know if I've answered your question.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any further discussion? Okay, the motion on the table is for Corporation Counsel, request for increase in compensation for Corporation Counsel in all firms acting as assistant corporation counsels. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
Councilman Bazey is opposed. Next item on the agenda is Park and Recreation Deputy Director Constant 2019 Spirit Festival liquor license application.
Council Chair.
Councilman Muscat.
I move council concur with Director Kim Constant to go out and get a license application to sell beer and wine at the City Spirit Fest of 2019 as outlined in 9D.
Second.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton seconds it. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair?
Councilman Abdullah?
As in the past, I'd just like to state my opinion. I think where there's kids, it's just not a good idea to have liquor around. So personally, I'm not in favor of it. Thank you.
Okay, that will show in the vote.
Yeah, I too talked to numerous residents over the last few years, and they have issues, especially with outside residents or outside city residents that come in, and same thing, they have issues with them with alcohol, especially with their kids around.
Okay, Councilman Constant.
Yeah, and from the beginning, and I'm not a fan of alcohol at all, they do have the beer tent, and the beer tent is off to the side. Some people, when they go, especially for the bands, like to have beer. I don't drink, but it is somewhat restricted and limited, and maybe that can be restricted and limited more, and also the times of sales. I don't know that they ever serve any wine. I think it's just the beer, it's like a beer trailer.
Okay, any further discussion?
Madam Chair, if
Mayor?
I might, the Deputy Director and I have had questions or discussion relative to the Spirit Festival. If you could put on the agenda, we'd like to talk, because we're not sure the model that has been utilized for the last few years should continue. We were forced to continue it for additional year because, and I've got to get Gary, our Corporation Counsel, to look at it, but I think the ride company has to be notified by September or some date like that, and we didn't feel, we're already into February, so we couldn't cancel it. But based upon participation and other things, we'd like to, I don't know how the council feels, but I would like to drastically change the model, and we got to talk about whether or not we want to continue it, and if so, how it should look. Now, in addition, let me also make you aware that there is, and I think it's tomorrow, Kim is meeting with the individual, but there was an event near Silvery Lane and Ford Road that was done during Ramadan that drew like a couple thousand people. And we have thought about and have talked to the individual about moving that from a location that doesn't fit to the Canfield Center, which would fit, and also maybe expanding it, get some food trucks and other things. So with that in mind, if one is drawing thousands of people and the other one is not, do we look at making a drastic change in the model? So if you give me a date and time, and the sooner the better, we'd like to talk to you about it. But I think you agree, Kim, or you suggested some things, and I wholeheartedly agree. I mean, I feel very bad, and I'll point one thing out. Veterans, we have this thing, the Ford Choral comes to the group, and there's 10 people. Now, this is ridiculous. There's more people in the choral, and I feel bad because it was a celebration for veterans, and to get that kind of turnout, in my mind, is almost embarrassing. So I think we need to talk about what we're doing there and whether or not it makes sense. End of story.
Yeah. There are
Deputy Director, would you like to speak?
There are some parts of the Spirit Festival I think that need to be recreated or reinvented. On a whole, it's pretty good, except I think that we need to bring it back to community. And so some of the ideas that I gave to the mayor are some of the things that he's talking about. And I think talking about it and deciding on what the changes are is a good idea, but also we are tied in with the ride company for one more year, and we do have to let them know by August of 2019 if we want to have a festival next year. If we do not let them know by that date, we're automatically committed for the next 2 years. So that's the way the contract reads.
Thank you. Councilman Abdullah.
And I'm just throwing it out there, maybe it makes sense to possibly, and obviously we're going to get a lot of your expertise, the Deputy Director, but maybe put it in a study session.
I think that's a perfect idea.
And I want to thank Councilman Abdullah for all his help and involvement in the new project that we're talking about. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Constant.
Yeah, and I go every year, and we always had a food booth, our Kiwanis Club there, and the Veterans event, who Jerry Williams really promotes well. used to have more people there and used to have some elected officials, but the Mayor's Walk, the Taste of the Heights, all those things. And I think more and more now we're getting people coming in from surrounding communities instead of things for the children in the area and so forth.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Wenzel.
One question. Now we're tied in with the ride company this year for sure. Now, does that tying in stipulate that we're serving alcohol, or is available in any way? That's
No, in fact, there was always a conflict because the ride company, if you remember, sells like cotton candy, hot dogs and stuff. And so that they didn't want the competition from the Kiwanis or the Rotary and other groups that also were serving food. So we always had this internal conflict, but there is nothing in the contract that required the liquor. I think what happened is that, and in fact, I'm almost sure of it, but the revenue from selling alcohol helped pay for the spirit festival.
It does. And the conflict with the food and the beverages was just the community booths that we had. That was something that was worked in and told that the ride company that they had to, we had to have, because we wanted to have the communities organizations do the booths, so.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, on the motion on the table is Park and Recreation Deputy Director Constant, the Spirit 2019 Festival liquor license application. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
Opposed is Abdallah, and opposed is Bazey.
Madam Chair.
Councilman?
Were we not supposed to, I think Councilman Muscat is supposed to amend it to go to a study session, isn't that correct?
No.
No, we were voting on the motion as it was presented.
And go ahead, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
And have a study session about the Spirit Festival and changing.
Yeah, the Spirit Festival itself was a study
I see.
session that we
Okay,
were going to
gotcha.
discuss how we can
Got it.
make it more profitable. Okay, next item on the agenda is Police Chief Voltattorni, 20 voice link transmitters.
Madam Chair.
I'm not done, please.
Sorry.
Let me start again. Next item on the agenda is Police Chief Voltattorni, 20 voice link transmitters, 10 charging bases, and request for purchase and payment.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to concur with Police Chief Dan Voltattorni and approve payment of $4,888 to L3 Mobile Vision as outlined in 9E.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Abdullah. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Next, we have Assessor Corner 2019 Poverty Exemption Policy and Application Approval.
Council Chair.
Councilman Muscat.
I move City Council approve the 2019 Poverty Exemption Policy and Application as outlined in 9F.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Bazey. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Councilman Abdullah.
I did this on the tax review board for a while, I think 3 or 4 years, I can't remember, but just want to take this opportunity to thank the many residents. I think there is, Mr. Mayor, is it 12 people, if I'm not mistaken? 12 people that volunteer their time, and I've seen the work that they do, and they put in a lot of hours into this for free, just to help out the community, and nobody acknowledges them, nobody knows of them. So I just want to take this opportunity to thank them all for the time that they put into this from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, the motion on the table is the Assessor Corner is item 9F. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next item on the agenda is 9G for DPW 2018 to 2019 water budget.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Bazey.
Again, I recommend to move this also to a study session. We already discussed the budgets. We approved it. Now we have this here, so I think we should move this to a study session. My recommendation.
I think that includes the rate increase too, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Support. Supported by Councilwoman Hicks Clayton. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Mayor?
I'll ask Plant Rand Alicia, who's here, but I asked this question last time. This was given to you like at Thanksgiving, And at some point, this is going to generate another increase to our residents, and I, as one of the residents that will end up with getting an increase, are not going to be happy about it. Madam Chair?
Councilman Bazey?
I still don't understand why. I talked to numerous municipalities in the area. They get a water bill every 3 months, every city around us. I have not yet to find one city that bills like Dearborn Heights. We bill residents every 2 months for water bills. So I think we're already paying enough for the water. So I don't know why we keep increasing the water rates. We're already way and beyond what other cities. So I think we should move this to a study session.
Councilman Muscat?
You know, we keep moving it to study session, and I'm okay with it as long as we do that like next week, like right away.
Okay, well, we can do that.
But my question, and I want this be the seed planted, as I go through these fixed costs and I see $4,600,887 in admin costs, that's my question. Who is getting that money? That's a lot of money to administer water bills and water. That's a lot of money. I don't care. That's almost like fixing every doggone sewer in the city.
Can you answer that, Alicia?
Okay, our motion at this point is to move it to a study session.
Well, let her answer his question.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that. Go ahead, please. I know it's really hard to see there. I'm going to ask. Yeah, I'm going to ask everybody to come to this microphone because it's easier. I can't see past the council members there and the mayor and Miyake.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good evening, council. Councilman Muscat, could you clarify what page you had a question on?
I am looking at page 14, and I'm looking at 2018, 2019, and 2019 general administrative expenses for 2019 is $3,463,004, and then you get the general and administrative expenses for variable of $1,137,883. And I'm a nuts and bolts guy. I'm not a CPA, but I know how to fix things.
Yeah.
But if I see something that I'm paying somebody for administration costs that kind of outweighs the work, that's a lot of money. And that goes to the taxpayers. And I want to know who's getting paid $4,600,000 if I add the two together. Who's getting paid?
Okay. I would have to look into the detail to give you a specific.
Yeah, and without me knowing who gets paid, my vote will be no forever.
So all of the expenses start on page 7. So I just want to clarify in general. All of the expenses start on page 6. So there's a line item by line item detail of all your expenses.
Okay, well, I think at this point our motion is to put it to a study session.
I was just trying to walk you through, like, the detail is here. It just has to kind of go through.
I'm going to give you a phone call this week.
Absolutely.
And maybe we can go through it over the phone or meet for a cup of coffee.
All of the details are in here that drive into what's linked in the back.
I'd appreciate that very kindly, but we have a motion right now, and I think we're going to vote on that.
Okay, Councilwoman
Madam Chair, thank you. I agree with a study session. You know, and I've reviewed the budget for the water department, or the water budget. My problem is with the continuous steady water rate increase we're asked to pass. I voted no on these in the past. I'm not prepared to pass a rate increase to our residents at this time. I feel that we really are starting to price them out of their homes. When you look at what other communities are paying, we know that Great Lakes Water Authority has a cap on what they pass to us. I understand the need because of the water loss, the infrastructure improvements we need. I understand all that. But I think at this point we need to have better planning, or we should come together on a 5 and a 10-year plan, so that way we don't have these continuous, you know, when you talk about 6-7% every year, it is hitting people in their pocketbook. So I'm prepared to vote.
I have a question before we move forward. Who seconded this motion?
Lisa Hicks, Councilwoman Lisa Hicks Clay.
You did, okay. I just wanted, study session, I'm sorry. Councilman Abdallah.
Just a quick point. I have the same problem with this as far as passing any type of increase, because I looked at the numbers here, and, you know, with available funds on 6/30 of 2018 of $8,284,482. We got to figure out another way to just keep them at the same price and not raise them 4 or 5% no matter what. Thank you.
Okay, our motion is to move this to a study session. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor of moving it to a study session, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? We will be moving that to a study session, and I will schedule it as soon as possible. Okay, under ordinances and resolutions, we have Corporation Counsel Miyake, second reading of H-19-03, amendments to City Code Sections 20-303, 20-304, 20-305, and 20-306 regarding fireworks.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to consider read for the second time and effective upon publication the amendment as listed in 11A.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Abdullah. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
So this is something I know many of us have been following. I've lost track of how many years it's been now. But the legislature in Lansing made some changes to Public Act 256. That's our fireworks law. So I would ask if the attorney can give us a brief update on what that looks like.
Sure. Basically, as I stated in the cover letter, we've updated things to completely mirror what the state law, the Michigan Fireworks Safety Act, provides. In addition, this contains the same new days under state law when the city can regulate fireworks. And in addition to that, we've updated the increased applicable penalty provisions as permitted by state law, and we've also made sure that everything is otherwise in conformity with our provisions in general in our Code of Ordinances.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have Corporation Counsel Miyake, first reading of H-19-04, proposed ordinance adding City Code Section 20-258 regarding marijuana violations.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Constant.
I move we concur with our Corporation Counsel and have ordinance H-19-04 considered read for the first time as outlined in 11B.
Second.
Second by Councilman Muscat. I'm sorry, Councilman Bazey. Is there any further discussion?
Madam Chair.
Councilman Muscat?
There was a gentleman in the audience, I don't know if he's still here, but he asked a question.
Yes, you did.
Can we
Mr.
get an answer
Jackson?
to that question?
Well, actually, Councilman,
Not the
if I
same
may.
item.
Yeah.
No, that was
his
it.
question was, why should it be considered to be adopted on an emergency basis and considered read for both a first and second time, which is not what the motion provides. But that being said, the reason why I recommended that be done, based on my discussions with Police Chief Voltatorni, there's a gap in enforcement with respect to these types of matters, and because the Wayne County prosecutor has made it clear that they're not going to end up enforcing these types of restrictions.
That's correct.
So essentially what we have to do is make sure that we have this covered. These would still be civil infraction matters. It would not be misdemeanors except in some very rare circumstances, but it would be best to adopt this matter or this measure on an emergency basis to make sure we don't have any gaps in enforcement. And that was based in part on my discussions with the police chief.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion?
Council Chair?
Councilman Muscat.
I believe the city attorney requested it being read for first and second time should be added to the motion. The motion did not state that. I don't know if the person who
So amended.
wants to amend it for a first and second reading.
Also to include upon publication, effective upon publication, if you so desire to make that motion, please.
And effective upon publication.
I don't know who made the motion.
I did.
Okay, so you-
Councilman Constant made the motion.
And I'll second that.
Okay, so this is first and second reading and effective upon publication. Okay. Do we have that down there?
We do.
Okay, good. Is there any further discussion in regards to this? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next item on the agenda is Mark Roberts, Seacrest Wardle, tabled item. That was a zoning ordinance amendment of H-19-02 to reclassify property as zone multiple dwelling residential.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdullah.
I move that we concur with planning attorney Mark.
Excuse me, can I interrupt here? We need to take this off the table first.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Councilman, but we need a motion to remove it from the table.
Okay, I did not make the original motion.
Oh, you just moved to bring it back.
Okay, I make a motion that we bring back to the table item 11C.
Yes.
As outlined, I'm sorry, item 11C.
And support.
Supported by Councilwoman Hicks Clayton. Is there any discussion?
Council Chair?
Councilman?
We removed this, but we never had a meeting on it.
Right.
And we should have had a meeting on it. And I'm ashamed to the owners of the property that we didn't have a meeting for this. And, but I have some questions on this, but this is not the time for me to ask the question, but there's a motion on the table now, so we can either have it seconded and we can vote on it, and then we can discuss it. So, I mean, we have a motion.
Well, the motion is to untable it, so now we have to vote on.
Correct.
So we untable it and then we make another motion.
Correct.
Okay, at this time, any discussion, any other discussion? Let's untable it then. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion has been untabled. Okay,
Madam
again,
Chair,
Council, let me read it again. Now we have a motion on the agenda for Mark Roberts, Seacrest Wardle, zoning ordinance amendment H-19-02, reclassify property as zone multiple dwelling residential.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Abdullah.
I move that we concur with Council Mark Roberts with the attached copy of the ordinance amendment to amend the City Code Chapter 36, zoning chapter of the City of Dearborn Heights, to amend the zoning map and district boundaries established under Section 36-52 to reclassify parcel number 33-01-03-0249-000 from single-family residential R1 to multiple dwelling residential RM as outlined in item 11C. I should amend, just change it a little bit. The new one that was given to us today, effective today's date, item number 11C versus the one that was original in the packet.
Council Chair, may I make a suggestion, just in terms of language with regards to that? And as outlined in 11C, as supplemented with the letter and materials from Mr. Roberts dated February 22, 2019.
Right. Concur.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Constant. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Councilman Muscat?
A few weeks ago, when we tabled this, someone had asked why they were working there, and I was under the impression it's a staging area for work being done on Telegraph, but I drove by there again. They're actually working on a site. How can you work on a site that hasn't been approved yet?
Madam Chair.
And that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing work being done there. Okay?
Okay, who would we have answer that?
Jake McIntyre.
I'd like to answer that.
Oh, go ahead. No, it's their property.
The city utilizing the lot to fix sewer without the permission of the owner. And I got a hold of this from the council and the administration. When the owner called me, he told me who's working on site. And we got a letter from a DPW, they apologized, and they thought it was a city-owned property. They've been working on it for 2 months without any permission. So that is, I'm glad you brought up Mr. Lester.
Yeah, I saw the work, and I thought that was all done, and I continue seeing work done, and I'm saying, how can you work on it when it's not been rezoned yet?
We won't be here for work on it.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
City-owned equipment or private company, the city hired to do the work.
It is a staging area for the water line on Telegraph.
Okay, Councilman Abdullah.
I just wanted to clarify, there's, Mr. Hayes, there's no actual work being done on this particular Sidwell number. There's work being done next door to it, but there may be parking some vehicles or trucks or what have you on your property. Is that correct? They're they're not doing work on your property. They're just using it as a staging area. Is that correct?
That question, the owner is not doing any kind of work.
Right. That's what I thought, because when I drove by. Right, and the reason some people were confused, and I'll tell you, prior to this coming on February the 12th, I believe it was, even myself originally, when I first drove by it, you know, I knew we had Mayburn, and we had not authorized an opening on Mayburn, and we wanted to keep it for ourselves as a city. And suddenly I seen all this work, and I seen the sign that went up. It says, you know, date with the Planning Commission, until I looked it up and researched it and realized there were two completely separate lots. So I just want to clarify it for the residents that the lot the gentleman is speaking of, I'm sorry, Dr. Rida. The Dr. Rida is speaking of is separate from the one that is the direct line between the gap on Mayburn right next to Blue Moon Hookah.
Okay.
And also one more thing,
sure,
if you don't mind, Council Chair. Sorry. Personally, I'm always in favor of residential properties being put up on lots because, let's face it, overall, that's more beautiful. At the same time, we have to be realistic on this particular lot. This is a lot that's been there, presuming, since the city started in the 60s, and there's been no demand or purchase or anybody that wanted to put up a house on that. I mean, it is, I think they mentioned about an acre. And where it's located right now, with the current apartment right next to it, and then a potential possible street on the other side of it, and then commercial property, a budding telegraph on the other side of it, the chances of somebody wanting to build a home there is, well, we don't have to guess. Nobody's come forward. There's no guessing game. So in my personal viewpoint, I'm in favor of something like this going up. The apartment next door to it, which I know some of us way back when had some concerns about, but it's been up and running and seems to be pretty well kept. And as far as I presume from ordinance, I don't believe we've had any types of issues with that. So personally, I'm in favor of this because any type of development is going to bring a newer building to the city. It's going to bring a tax base to the city. I'm not going to guess at the tax amount and have somebody come back and question me. But obviously, it's going to be multiple $1,000s coming into the city. And we're providing potential places for residents for those that would like to rent, which I think is all good.
All right, thank you.
Council Chair, one more, please.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton is next, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a question for clarity, for better understanding. So I took notes when you came up and shared, Dr. Rida, and I agree, we should be welcoming, and multi-family use is very important with that property. I agree. My question, for, if I may, Madam Chair, is, one, I read something where it says the Planning Commission conducted a public hearing. However, I thought you said you were not notified, and I would like to know if you have a concern.
Jackie already cleared it up why I did not get notified, but I got notified through a lot of my friends here, a lot of my clients, who told me they were talking about your property. Are you aware of that? I said, nope, I have no clue. That's actually the main course of that issue.
But you were informed at the Planning Commission, correct?
Yeah.
The city.
Okay, go ahead.
He's actually referring to the last council meeting where, because of the Sidwell number and the confusion about where it was, that's what he's referring to. He attended all the Planning Commission meetings. They did have the public hearing.
Okay, so you're talking about our council meeting, not the Planning Commission meetings. Gotcha.
Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Councilman Muscat was next.
Sir, you're the sole owner of the property, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you're the one that's going to develop the property.
Not me personally, I will hire people to do that.
Well, I understand, but it's going to belong to you is what I'm saying.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman?
And yeah, the only change was there was an extra 0 in the Sidwell number that was taken off, and then they had the city of Farmington, and we're correcting it to Dearborn Heights. And Mark Roberts, who is the attorney for the Planning Commission, said, okay, this is what we need. And so I wouldn't want to see this held up anymore.
Okay, Councilman Abdullah.
Were you? Yeah. I just want to clarify that there was a sign that had been put up for the Planning Commission meeting for those that possibly were for or against. And it did pass Planning Commission, and they are recommending that we approve this.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Madam Chair, I'll just give you a real brief history lesson, but I was told by Dick Young, who was on, who was early treasurer and also was on the building authority, that property was originally purchased by the city from, I don't know if it was Crestwood School District back then. It might have been, a lot of the districts had District 7 or 8 or whatever it was. And they were going to build this building over there. The reason it didn't get built is because of Bill's drain and the water lines and everything else. And Dick Young told me that engineers told them, the building authority, that it would be $15,000 more to build this building there. Now, you're talking about 1958. That was a lot of money, and so then from the owner of the house over here, the city bought the property from them, and the city hall was established here. And the only thing remaining over there was the original North End Fire Station. And then then the city sold the property, and a previous doctor bought it. So that's the history lesson. Okay. But that is a very difficult property to build upon.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion in regards to this? Okay, right now, the motion we have is the Mark Robert Seacrest Worrell, the zoning ordinance amendment H-19-02 to reclassify property zoned as multiple dwelling residential. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next item on the agenda is Council Chairwoman Melanowski Maxwell and Council Pro Tem Bazey. The resolution is for a forensic audit.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Bazey.
City Council believes a forensic audit is necessary for all city records, including but not limited for the following: City Council resolution compliance, administrative and employment practices, financial, accounting records, taxation, contracts, RFPs, conflicts of interest, neglect of duties in public office, illegal use of city assets, unfair negotiations of city labor contracts, mismanagement of city funds, violations of city, state, and federal regulations, abuse of power, self-benefit, benefit of relatives, friends, and partners, Act 345 taxation and control, CSO bond over taxation, cable franchise, PEG fees, and other additional issues as needed during the forensic audit process. According to the city charter, the City Council has the subpoena power. Therefore, the City Council is extending that power to the forensic approved auditor to conduct interviews, collect evidence, and obtain information or records related to the audit from elected officials, employees, appointees, commissioners, board members, city contractors, city services providers, and other who may relate it to city businesses as permitted by law as outlined in 11D.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Muscat.
Madam Chair.
Okay, go ahead, Councilman Bazey.
I also like to thank Councilman Ray Muscat for his extensive work on the PEG PEG fees. And also I'd like to thank Councilwoman Lisa Hicks Clayton for her extensive work on Act 345.
Council Chair.
Councilman Muscat.
I strongly am in favor of a forensic audit, but some of the wording is a little harsh because I've never wanted to accuse anybody of any misdoing. But I do, again, state that I am all for a forensic audit.
Okay, is there any further discussion?
Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Madam Chair, I just want to say I support a forensic audit as well. I mean, for the sake of transparency and full accountability and restoring trust in government, we always talk about government and some of the challenges of having trust among your residents. I think it would behoove us to do so. I know Plant Moran has flagged deficiencies which need to be corrected, and one dates back a few years. And of course, with Act 345, we had quite a bit of discussion and detail, and even the attorney for Act 345 said that the city of Dearborn Heights should have a 115 trust fund. And to this date, I have not seen it materialize and come to being, and I think it really needs to be, because those funds cannot commingle with general fund.
Okay.
So I just want to bring that to everyone's attention.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
Chair.
Councilman Constant?
Well, I don't know if anybody has checked on what the cost of this would be. We'd be in effect auditing the audit. We have an audit from Plant Moran. They're a big company. They're not going to skew an audit for the city of Dearborn Heights they could lose their CPA license, they could be sued. I think our starting point is the audit that we have, and looking at the numbers, if people have questions about particular the use of, for example, the PEG fees, we've gotten some of the material and those can be answered. But a forensic audit is done, for example, in a large probate estate if someone's the successor trustee and there's thought that they've spent funds individually and it's forensic to get it ready to go to court to prosecute somebody. I talked yesterday with the CPA that I've used in the past for forensic audits for probate estates, and to look back over for an accounting firm to come in, you're talking would be several thousands of dollars at least, if just to audit the PEG money.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Abdullah.
Madam Chair,
yes.
Just want to clarify. I still, I've been debating this back and forth, and I don't mind any type of audit where we look into something. I mean, it's always good. It could never go wrong. The issue and the challenge that I've got with this, and this is not my end all as far as pricing. I checked my own pricing personally, but when I checked with the mayor when there was a meeting, I said, I'm just curious as to how much something like this would cost. This is not my line of expertise, definitely not an audit, not to me personally be involved with an audit. And Mr. Mayor, do you mind if I quote you? I think you said, if you don't mind, I think you said about $1 million or something like that. So that's and I get that's one-sided. I totally get that. So I want to do my own research just to check. And I called some accounting firms just to get an idea. And this is where now I'm thinking we got to really think this thing out, because for a forensic audit, the pricing on this is anywhere between $200 to $300 per hour. So you go do a forensic audit for 5, 10, 15, whatever it is, number of years that we are looking to do, and I'm just throwing it out there so we think this thing out, including for all these particular issues, which some of these are issues of concern. I get that. And some questions on the PEG fees, honestly, Mr. Mayor, they still have not been answered, so I get that particular part of it. But again, just maybe a second study session or a possibility of getting a different company to audit the audit that we already have in place, to start from zero for 10, 12, 15 years at $200 to $300 per hour. I don't know what the end cost is going to be, but I think before we agree on something like this, we should get some sort of an estimate so we can make an educated decision on this and not just jump into this, full force. Thank you.
Wait a minute, we have to go once, everybody.
Go ahead.
Anybody who has not spoken yet would like to speak?
Madam Chair, may I speak?
Yes, you may.
The language in 11D is so harsh and is so demeaning to all of us that work in City Hall. I will address the cable PEG funds at the end of the meeting because I do have information on that particular item. But the false accusations, they're hurtful of the City of Dearborn Heights, our businesses, and most importantly, our residents. All of the items in 11D have been submitted to Plant Moran for audit already, and the city was given an unqualified opinion. It's the highest opinion one can receive. All the items noted also were approved by City Council. So it's really an audit of all the actions of the city. Once again, I'm attacked for proposing the purchase of Warren Valley Golf Course, which I think purchasing for $1.8 million, 300 acres and a clubhouse, was a steal of a purchase for the residents of Dearborn Heights, and also will keep us from having flooded basements. But somebody, one of the authors, has objected constantly to the purchase of the golf course. Now, last month, the city was given an upgrade by the internationally known financial rating company of Standard & Poor Global. The City of Dearborn Heights rating was increased from an A to an A+. And I'm going to go to a quote from the S&P Global study. They said, the upgrade from an A to an A+ reflects our recognition of the financial progress the city has achieved in recent years. Dearborn Heights has generated operating surpluses for 6 consecutive years, despite having to allocate a large portion of its budget towards annual pension and other post-employment benefit costs. End of quote. This just confirms that my department heads, employees, and I as a mayor have done a fantastic, outstanding job for the residents of Dearborn Heights. All of us have been elected to do the people's work. That is why we are here. Stop the political attacks. Everything is transparent, and join with me to work together to do great things for the residents of Dearborn Heights, and don't be tearing down the city, because that's what you're doing.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion?
Council Chair.
Councilman Muscat.
I'm not going to get into a words of a war of words here. I don't see anything political here. I'm not being political. I just know that for years, and I'm not looking at the whole page here of what should be and shouldn't be added up, but for years, as a resident and as a councilman, I'm told we don't have money to do something. I'm not, like I said before, I don't have a staff of people to go through a complete audit report looking for a number that I'm led to believe doesn't exist. Okay? Then all of a sudden I'm pointed to a number in an audit, but not in a budget. To me, that's transparency. And if there's something wrong with that, then I believe maybe we could concentrate an audit on 1 or 2 different things instead of a combination that's going to cost the city a tremendous amount of money.
Okay.
But an audit on some things is definitely needed, because if we read the disclaimer from Plant Moran, they don't do a forensic audit. They're auditing what the city gives them. Period. End of sentence. And that's the way I'm looking
Okay, at this point, we're getting off one last, okay.
Yes, one last.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
All right, so with everything that's being said, I really don't see why anyone would object to a forensic audit. You know, again, there are questions. There's a lot of time that's been put into reviewing numbers and ledger accounts, revenue, you know, the taxation, the expenditures. No one's making anything up. You know, and we are stewards of the taxpayers' dollars. We have a responsibility to our residents. Okay. And I will tell you, just, you know, real quick, I've been on council 8 years now. And in this amount of time, this is my 8th year, in that amount of time, we've done a lot of interfund borrowing. Now, we haven't done it recently. Like last year, I believe, was the first year we didn't have to. But that's a sign of fiscal, I mean, it's a cash flow issue, but it's like me borrowing from my savings account to pay my electric bill. It's a sign of fiscal and health. So we need to be honest here and have an honest conversation.
Councilman Constant?
Briefly, when the council hires the auditors and then they give the report to us. So we did an audit, and that was Plant Moran. As far as a forensic audit, again, that's if you're going to go to court, have the evidence to charge somebody. I think the questions here, like where did the money come from for the purchase of the golf course, that can be answered by, you know, we may want to have the auditors come back in, but by looking at the numbers, not paying a couple $100,000 of taxpayer money to audit the audit, basically.
Okay, thank
Madam
you.
Chair.
Councilman Abdullah.
And I just want to ask the question, does anybody here from any of the departments, or maybe even possibly Plant Moran, because I think before we vote on something like this, I'd just like to reiterate, what is the dollar figure? I mean, is it $1 million? Is it $500,000? Is it $800,000? Or is it 30 or 40 or 10,000? If this was a decision on 5 or 10,000, I'd be all for it. But obviously, it's not going to be that type of money. And at $300 an hour to go back on every single file, for 5, 7, 8, 10 years without talking to the people that have already audited this information, I think it's irresponsible to just automatically go and vote yes on this without knowing what dollar figure it's going to be.
Well,
And I did.
we're going only twice, everybody. You've had 2 turns already. We got Councilman Wenzel.
I think Alicia was going to give an answer.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Is that appropriate? Can I
Well,
respond?
Can you come over here? I
Yeah,
can't
I
see
didn't-
you over there behind Councilman Miyake. He's right in line with the It's not your fault. It's just where the microphone is. I can't see it.
So thank you. There's just a couple things I want to clarify. So one, I don't know the answer to your question, but I can tell you for perspective. So the audit that we do each year of the City of Dearborn Heights, which does include your general financial statements as well as your single audit, our team spends around 800 hours a year. So that's just for 1 year's audit. We spend about 800 hours, give or take, depending on the number of grants or activities or if there's issues or challenges. But so if that gives you perspective about what a forensic audit would be for many issues and many years. But
But you don't audit and you don't find out where the money is spent and how it's spent.
That's not entirely true. So I want to clarify something that was said. That what was said, I think, Councilman Muscat, what I believe I heard you say is that we only audit what's given to us by the city. That's not true. We do a lot of third-party verification. Our profession requires it. So for example, you purchase water from Galiwa. We get information directly from them. We get information directly from the county regarding sewage disposal charges. We have a responsibility to confirm directly with the bank what money is in your account. If you closed accounts, we have to follow that trail with the bank. So there's a lot of stuff that we do, records that we're required to obtain, that our profession requires us obtain, that is third-party data. So I just want to clarify that.
Thank you. We have Councilman Wenzel has a question.
Okay, well, I know Platt Moran, they use the figures that the city provides them, probably 90% of it. Your figures come from the city, maybe more than that. But I'm 100% in favor of doing this audit, but we refused to vote on something earlier in the meeting for 25 cents an hour because it wasn't on the paper. And I'm not ready to vote today on this without any kind of dollar figure. I'm behind it 100%, but I think to vote on this, we're going to have something in front of us say, okay, this is going to cost us $50,000 to $80,000. Then I'll say, yeah, I'll put my name on it. I'm going to put my name on something eventually, but I can't be comfortable without a dollar figure on there because it could be $10 million.
Okay, to correct you on that, we are just voting on the resolution, not the money. The money we will vote on later. Okay. It has to be approved after this. This is the first step, and then the next step would be the actual dollar amount.
Okay, thank you.
So to clarify that.
All right. Good, yes.
I mean, because we're not just going to go do an audit for $200,000 and not come back to council for that.
Okay, thank you. Madam Chair, but then we got to get that clarified.
Okay, we got Robert Rules of Order. I sent everybody, I'm trying to, I apologize. I think we're all done here. Everybody's exhausted their Robert Rules of Order. We'll be here all night, and I did send it out on purpose to everybody, and you've got a copy in front of you.
I did talk to a forensic CPA about
I'm sorry, but we've already overextended this Robert Rules of Order, and I'm holding other people to it, so I have to be fair. At this point, we're going to take a vote. We have here, the resolution is a forensic audit, as read by Councilman Bazey. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
Okay, Clerk, I'm going to ask you to do a roll call down the line.
Councilman Abdallah.
No.
Councilman Bazey.
Yes.
Councilman Constant.
No.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Yes.
Council Chair Malinowski Maxwell.
Yes.
Councilman Muscat.
Yes.
Councilman Wenzel.
Yes.
We have 5 yeas.
The resolution is passed. Okay, next item is new business. Business license renewals for Dog House Bar and Grill located at 21350 Van Born and also Cortez Collision 21700 Van Born.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Move to approve the business licenses as submitted in 13A.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Muscat. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next on the agenda, we have permanent traffic control device number 2-274, handicap parking sign in front of 25646 Andover.
Council Chair. No.
Councilman Abdullah.
All right, I move that we concur with the City of Dearborn Heights Police Department with this is in regards to the property at 25646 Andover, making the change with the handicap parking sign posted in front of the residence, which will assist in the safe manner of loading and unloading the residence as outlined in item 13B.
Okay.
Support.
Supported by Councilwoman Hicks Clayton. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have comments from council members.
Oh, Madam Chair.
And we ask that you limit your time on them because of how late it is.
It is late.
Okay, Councilman Wenzel?
I have two things. I'm going to make an announcement that this Saturday, March 2nd, St. Sebastian Catholic School and Church will be holding their annual fundraising auction. It's a major fundraiser. For ticket availability, contact St. Sebastian's. And one other thing is I want to cover my butt a little bit here on the street sweeper issue. I am in favor of 100% of these street sweepers. I had a meeting with some people from the highway department, and they spoke to me about these street sweepers back in late summer, early fall. I brought it up at a city council meeting. I was told by the administration we have no money for street sweepers. They cost $500,000 a piece. That's the last thing I heard on it. I was on vacation for the last 4 days. I got my packet last night. I didn't have a chance to talk to these highway guys. They say that some of these street sweepers, the main job of a street sweeper is to suck leaves up. That's the hardest thing they do. Some of them that the city was pushing on them have a vacuum system that clogs regularly and takes manual maintenance to clean them out. I just wanted to make sure that we got the right street sweepers, and I don't know who approved these, who recommended this model, or if there's a model recommended at all. But if it was just we don't have a DPW director that did this, that was done administratively. I don't know. That's why I oppose this particular purchase. I am in favor of the street sweepers.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just have a quick follow-up question for the administration. I think it's been about 2 years now where it was presented to the City Council. There was a presentation and approved in the budget, and this was tagged on to the website, rebuilding of, was an app. And I'm going to say it's similar. It's not See-Click-Fix, but it's similar to See-Click-Fix, where residents could submit ordinance violations and pictures of roads if there's potholes. And of course, we encourage you to call 1-8 road crews if you come across a big pothole, as it's that season. But I'm just curious what is going on with that app, because when I inquired over a year ago, I was told that it was coming and it was in the works and everyone was being trained, and here we are a year later. Madam Chair.
I cannot respond to that because Tarek may have known, but he left, and Chrissy Laszlo has been taking care of that, so she is not here today. She'll return on Monday, and I can try to find any.
Maybe that'd be a question for the next session.
I don't know enough, and I don't want to mislead you.
Yeah, well,
if you, maybe send out an email to the council members to let us know. Please, thank you.
Okay, any other comments from council members? At this time, I'd like to...
Madam Chair,
sure.
Can I make... I want to pass something out for each of the council members. This is an opinion from, I think, probably one for the city clerk also. And while this is being passed out, I'll read it real quickly. It's short. Legal opinion from the firm of Neil J. Leto. There is no question that under current state and federal law, administrative agency, and court rulings that the 1% public education and government, in quotation marks, PEG, access fee received by the city from cable television companies operating in the city can be used to pay operational expenses related to city government access channel. That was my opinion delivered in 2008 and again today. For many years, the city has received a franchise fee of 5% of gross revenues from cable television operators that can be spent on anything whether or not PEG related. only the 1% PEG access fee needs to be held in a refund restricted to PEG facilities, equipment, or services under ruling by the Federal Communication Commission, in quotation marks, FCC, and U.S. Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals. The outdated 2008 memorandum circulated by a Lansing-based law firm, which represents the Michigan Cable Telecommunication Association, took its position based on the then recent published opinion by the Sixth Circuit, which briefly addressed the issue in a challenge to an order issued by the federal FCC. In the court case Alliance for Community Media versus FCC, and it gives the citation for law, the memo failed to address Michigan's then new Uniform Video Services Franchise Act of 2006. In a much more recent case, the Sixth Circuit had ruled that the FCC's interpretation of federal law decided in Alliance for Community Media does not apply to franchising laws or decisions at the state level. And that was cited in the case Montgomery County versus FCC. The order was remanded to the FCC, which only recently took up the matter. Subsection 6 in parenthesis 8 of Michigan Uniform Act is more expansive than the FCC order under review in Montgomery County. Subsection 6 in quotation marks 8 authorizes uniform franchises to include a PEG fee in support of the cost of public, educational, and government access facilities and services, end of quotation marks. Services, in quotation marks, encompasses all of the operating costs of running the city's governmental access channel. Moreover, under Section 611, subsection C of the U.S. Cable Communication Policy Act of 1984, as amended in 47 U.S.C. subsection 531C, a cable operator that itself voluntarily offers to pay PEG-related fees in excess of the 5% franchise fee by submitting and agreeing to a uniform franchise cannot complain about non-capital spending on PEG-related services. Since 2006, AT&T, WOW, and most recently Comcast have all voluntarily agreed to the uniform franchise to do so. And this is the important point. In summary, under their uniform franchises, each of them offered and agreed to pay the 5% franchise fee, described in them as a video service provider fee, and that may be used to pay any general fund expenditures. They also offered and agreed to pay an annual fee of 1% that may be used to pay for PEG-related capital expenditures for facilities and equipment or non-capital PEG-related expenses for services. The pending FCC proceedings could further address the issue, and there are no other pending court cases. Very truly yours, Neil Lato. Now, Neil Lato was the attorney that the Cable Commission, when we had a Cable Commission, hired because that's all he handles as an attorney. He has represented, I believe, WJB, or now Fox, too, and he has represented various radio and TV stations. The key individual and the person that was the chairman of our Cable Commission was Doug Nickel. And Doug was the one that watched every dollar that came in and was spent on cable and set up the arrangement with Neil Lato. So I'm telling you that I welcome people challenging what we're doing here. I have no problem with it, but we were doing the right thing.
Okay, thank
you. And I
you.
think I've deserved an apology, and I have a copy for you, Mr.
Thank
Zuhair.
you. Okay, any other,
Madam Chair?
do you have an announcement?
Well, no,
We're not going to debate. We're just going to make announcements tonight. We're going to be here till midnight if we do. Is there any other announcements from the council members? Okay, at this time, I'm going to ask public comment, and please try and limit them as much as you can in regards to things that are going on around our city.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Madam Chair. I just want to speak just for maybe a minute or so about item 7A.
Okay, this is for public announcements in our community, this section right
Then-
now that we have up, like the library and stuff.
Okay, so I can talk about this.
That is an agenda item. It's no longer,
All right, I'll speak as a resident after.
okay. Okay, at this point, community announcement about something going on in our community?
Right.
Okay, great, go ahead.
Hi.
Name and try and limit it.
My name is Bertram Brewer. I'm the one that had the sewer backup.
Oh.
It's still not fixed to this day.
Sir, this is not an announcement.
Okay, yeah, you know what, you're in the next section, which is public comment. I
I'm sorry.
apologize. We have the gentleman from the library behind you. I'll make sure you come up.
Okay, hello, I'll try to read this as quickly as possible. Hello, Council Chair and Mayor, just wanted to talk about a couple of quick items at the library. First off, Wednesday, February 27th at 7 p.m. at Carrollton County Library, we will be talking to renowned world traveler Rufus Magog. Hope I get this name right. Rufus visited every country in the world last year. Not all in the same year. When he finally visited Libya, the last country on his list, find out how he accomplished this feat, and here's some of his harrowing and humorous highlights of his travels. Next Thursday, March 7th at 7 p.m. at Carrollton County Library, we will be discussing senior mental health. Seniors face challenges that accompany retirement and loss of family and friends. These changes can have a detrimental impact on physical and emotional health. Join therapist Susan Duarte Dijon, I hope I got that right too, as she discusses some of those issues and more. That's all for now. Thanks for your time, and see you at the library.
Thank you. Any other announcements for our community?
Nancy Breyer, just a quick announcements for the great upcoming South Dearborn Heights Civic Association. I want to first thank our fire chief, if he's still here. He did an excellent presentation in January, came up with answers people didn't expect, and we were very happy to have you there. And I want to announce our next meeting will be March 22nd at the Richard Young Center and at 6:30 p.m. We'll have some interesting people to talk again, and we hope to see you there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we are still on community announcements in regards to things that are going on in our community.
Yeah, I just got this information out. I'm going to make sure it's posted on our city website tomorrow, and then I'll share it to a lot of the community pages. These are save the dates. Wayne County announced their dates for household hazardous waste collection events in 2019. The first one will be at Henry Ford Community College on Saturday, May 11th. The second one is going to be at the Westline Shopping Center.
And if you want him to appear, he'll appear.
On August 10th, and that's behind the JCPenney. And then the third and final one, and this is also the one where they'll accept CRT televisions, CRT monitors, is at the Wayne County Community College Downriver campus on North Line. That's Saturday, October 19th. So again, I'll post these tomorrow, or make sure they're posted on our city page, and then I'll share them to the community pages so that people get that information. And then also this week, the Michigan Humane Society confirmed, or they actually requested for us to host another low-cost animal vaccination clinic. So we've set that date for Sunday, July 21st. It'll be typical arrangements. We're going to separate the big guys from the little guys this year. We had a lot of little dogs that thought they were big dogs, and we had a couple situations. So July 21st, Sunday, from 9 to 1. A lot of people start lining up around 8 o'clock, but they'll take the first one at 9 o'clock. Cost is probably going to still be the same, $5. It's not an absolute quote, but they've kept it consistent every year. $5 vaccinations, $5 rabies, and $10 microchips, and we'll probably be open for.
Give me the date again, please.
July 21st, Sunday, from 9 to 1. And I'll post those as well tomorrow, so they'll be on all the social media pages.
Thank you.
Great,
Right.
thank you. Okay, we are still on community announcements. At this time, I'm going to open it up to public comment, and the gentleman that was up here, okay. Okay, go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Joe Hashem. I live on 26560 Wilson Drive. How much do I have? How much time do I have?
You have
Madam
3
Chair?
minutes.
3?
Yes.
I'll talk quickly. I spent over 25 years as a senior vice president in commercial lending, so I have had my share of audits. I've gone through, I think Plano Moran was our auditors when I was at the bank. They do a thorough job. And we have gone through forensic audits when the FDIC did come to our bank at one time and wanted to look at our books more specifically. 2 things that I like to say as a resident. When you do a forensic audit, first of all, you have to identify what you want to look for as far as go for an RFP, first of all, and specify which accounts or what is it that you want to look for. You can't just throw a net out there and hope to catch some fish. If there's something that you are specifically looking for, go for it. But be specific with that and go for RFP and get your money how much it's going to cost. Somebody threw in the $400 or $300 an hour, that's per person. That doesn't mean one person is going to be here. You may have 10 people working here for 8 or 10 hours a day for the next 2 years. That is a lot of money. As a resident, I don't want to pay that. So it should be limited to whatever you want to look for, not just a wide net. That's not proper. Thank you very much, and you all have a good night.
Thank you. Now I'm going to call the gentleman over there that was up here already, and I apologize. We'll get you in the right section here.
Okay.
Come up and state your name and your address. And
how you doing? My name is Bertram Brewer. I stay on Colonial. I'm involved into this sewer lining. It's my house.
I'm so sorry.
We're about 13 days in, and I still haven't got a solid answer. I'm asking for the council and everybody to put their foot on these people's necks, because my daughter and wife cannot be at home because I had to send them to the doctor today because they're coughing. So we cannot stay in our own house. Little kids don't understand why I can't go home. I don't care how you explain it to them, they don't understand. And for the ones that is married, if you not happy, if your wife is not happy, the man is killing her. So I need that pressure relieved as soon as possible.
And that, I know the smell associated with that because I've been in a house that has had backup. It's terrible.
You can come to my side door and I just open the door and you wouldn't want to come in.
I understand.
So you shouldn't have to put up with that even for one day.
You really shouldn't, and I apologize.
My thing is, I didn't hire the contract company. The city did. So I'm asking the city, please, I'm tired of waiting, giving all these facsimile dates that I'm going to be here. I need something concrete. I can't go tell my wife that I can't handle this problem.
Council Chair.
Okay, Councilman Muscat.
I sympathize you, and I was at your house.
And I thank you for that, sir.
You know, and I wish I could tell you that tomorrow they're going to come and start cleaning your house. I really wish I could. That is not in my power. And I'm going to ask our administration to call Lanzo and tell them now, right now, not tomorrow, not the next day, but have a crew out there start cleaning now. I'm going to ask that from the administration. Yes. Now, it's out of my hands at this point, but I promised you that I would bring it up. I would send emails, and I did, and I fulfilled that to you, but now it's really not up to me. I can't force Lanzo to pay for that, but I do know that we have a city attorney and our administration to reach out to them. They had said that they would take care of it. I think the only way they can prove that they're going to take care of it is if they're at your house tomorrow with a cleaning company.
And
that's
I'm
the
just
way I
asking if we as a city, the news media contacted me every day, and I do not want to put a black eye to the city that I love. And I'm hoping I don't have to go that far. But at the same time, I have a family that I must support and make happy. So I'm just asking for you guys, is somebody that can stand on their neck to get the ball rolling.
Mr. Mayor, did
if you would,
comment?
before you leave, I'll share with you even my cell phone number. We'll work on it. We have been working on it. There's a couple things, but I'll keep you constantly posted. I'm trying to get them out there because I feel for you. I really do.
Okay, Councilman O'Donnell.
Sir, I know I spoke with you. What I did not realize is the first time I'm hearing the 13-day mark. So I can tell you myself, I'll say this publicly, I will not approve any fees going to the personally, it'll be a no vote until that's fixed. So I'm saying it here publicly. They will not get a penny, at least my vote, until that's fixed. That's totally irresponsible for them to wait 13 days to take care of this thing for you. Even if you were a single guy by yourself there, that's not acceptable.
Right. Nobody should have to live. Councilman Wenzel?
I think the city should send out a company tomorrow and take the money out of the money that we owe the company. Do it tomorrow. Don't wait till
You know, that's what you do in construction. You're right. You back charge the company.
Yeah, we should just do it and quit messing around here. Don't wait another day or two. Wait for, they might have to talk to their attorneys. This guy's suffering. His family's suffering. He didn't do anything wrong. If it was anybody out here, you'd want that company out there tomorrow. I can guarantee you that. So I think we should give this guy a company tomorrow.
Yeah.
I think you should contact a cleaning company tomorrow to be out there tomorrow, take the money out of the $92,000 that we owe them.
A restoration company, we should contact them and back, I'm speaking, please. I do believe that we should get a company out there and back charge the company that we owe money because they've waited too long. That should not happen for anybody. That is a horrible smell. I've been in a house that has had backup like that of a friend's parent. It's horrible. Until you experience it, you can't understand how bad it is.
They sent a company out called Select Restoration, but he say he can't move until they say yes. So you just kicking me to the curve, and I'm at my wit's end.
I don't blame you. Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Madam Chair, because we have not adjourned, Councilman Wenzel can make a motion to direct the administration to send a cleaning crew out there, take care of it, and bill Lanzo. And I would support the motion. Okay. I think Councilman Wenzel suggested it. I'd like to see him make the motion, Madam Chair.
Councilman, would you like to make that motion?
I'd like to make that motion to direct the mayor to send out a cleaning crew out there tomorrow. And back charge the company the cost of the cleaning, so we can get this taken care of right away, no later than tomorrow.
Okay, Councilman Bazey,
I know there's emergency companies that act, they're open 24 hours a day, so that can.
They are there, you're right. And we have Councilman Bazey is seconding it. Is there any supported by Councilman Abdullah? Okay. Well, Councilman Bazey supported it. Is there any other discussion?
Madam Chair,
Mayor?
I don't know. Gary, I told you what our dilemma is.
Yeah, here's the difficulty.
I don't know how to respond.
We've been, apparently from what the mayor said, instructed by MMRMA to hold off, probably because the insurance company that represents Lanzo really should have the primary liability. My recommendation would be the following: to authorize the mayor to pay up to a certain amount for emergency repairs, with the idea that he will be directed to convene a meeting with MMRMA and any other necessary city representatives to come up with a mitigation plan, and also be authorized to pursue that mitigation plan, and also direct the mayor to follow up with the gentleman, the homeowner.
Okay, well, at this point, we have a motion on the floor that we have to address first.
I want to, Mr. Miyake, if that was your house for how many days? How many days?
Yes.
14 days? It's not his fault. It's not our fault. MMRA is our insurance firm, not Lanzo's. I don't care where Lanzo has to go get the money. We owe them money. They're not getting it until that man's house is fixed, and a contractor goes out there tomorrow and starts cleaning this man's house.
Yes.
Well,
this is ridiculous.
I agree. That's why I suggest.
Okay, we have a motion on the table, and we need to vote on it at this point. Mr. Wenzel made the motion to hold back the money to Lanslow and have a restoration company come out starting tomorrow. And it was seconded by Councilman Bazey. So at this time,
after the meeting,
I'd like to. Pardon? Do you have it? Okay, Mr.
We just want to clarify it on the record.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So the motion is to withhold the current claim?
Correct.
Okay, we have that. And to direct the administration to...
I want it tomorrow.
To send someone out beginning tomorrow to take care of this gentleman's house.
Okay.
Back charge Lanslow.
And back charge Lanslow, withhold it from whatever is due to them, because almost 14 days is 14 days too many.
Well, why can't you put them up in a hotel until it's done?
Well,
And I think that's
that
true.
was actually my thought, and that's why I wanted to talk to him, because I have no problem putting you and your family up immediately in a decent motel and having the city incur that cost. And that's what I was going to offer you. I don't understand, and I've got to find out, because my people are telling me of restrictions from insurance, but it's not your fault.
Well, this isn't going to insurance, though. This is back charging landfill. That's money we don't even have to go to get permission for. We hold the purse strings on that, and we sign the check to them in the end. So at this point...
Let them sue us if they have to.
Yeah, let them sue us. I don't
You know
care.
what? Okay, at this
Council
point,
Chair,
yes.
I just want to comment.
Councilman Watson.
My mother passed away in November. She had a fire in her house, small stove fire, insured through AAA, and we're still going through. We had ServPro come out to clean it, and AAA hasn't made any payments on whatsoever so far. So this could go on for months. So we got to take care of this tomorrow.
Yeah, I would not agree, but let's talk right after the meeting. We'll try to give you relief.
We got to.
Okay, at this point, we need to vote on what we have on the table. You've got that correct, Mr. Clerk, right? Okay, at this point, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. And I want to give you my number 2 before you leave.
Thank you.
Okay, now we have public announcements to state your name, address, and limit it to 3 minutes, please.
Again, Zuhair Abdulhaq, Dearborn Heights. I did go over all the numbers from the budget, from Plant Moran audit. Even if I believe all the expenses which he put in his budget from the PAC. He is still short $154,000 not accounted for. And I challenge the auditors, I challenge anybody in the city to prove me wrong. And you should have apologized to the public, not me, for what you have been doing to us.
You should apologize. You promised
Okay, at this point, let's go, move on. Okay.
Want a copy?
Point of order. Okay, at this point, we have any other further comment from the public? Please go to the podium, state your name in 3 minutes, please.
Hi, my name is Dana. I live on Salem Lane. As many of you know, I came up with the idea to form a commission on women and girls of January of last year, and I had the help of Councilman Lisa Hicks Clayton and other council members in forming that. And the proposal was passed in, I think, June or July. And up until this day, there's been no appointments made. And I'm just wondering why that's the case. If it's because we don't have enough interest, I'm wondering if there's something that we can do. If we could maybe have something on our website, if we could have an online form to make it easier and more accessible for people to apply. I know last time we spoke on the phone, you said that you had, I don't remember if this is true, 3 people. Yes. Since that conversation happened, I know that many articles have been written in the news. I know that Councilwoman Lisa Hicks Clayton shared the article. Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib shared the article, and I've seen many people say that they have sent you or someone a letter of interest saying that they want to join. So I'm wondering if the number is still at 3. Okay, because yeah, I was thinking it would be more like 10 or 11 people at this point.
I honestly, I would be more than happy to share with you. I have to go back in the file. Even with and I thank the press and guide for putting the article. Brianna, you did a good job on it. I didn't get any additional applications as of right now, but
So it's still at 3?
No, I'm up to 5, but I think I have to go back and make sure that those people are still interested.
Right, because it's been a long time since they've shown interest.
Yeah, and one of the things is, as I mentioned to you, I wanted a diverse, and all the applications are coming from one ethnic group. I was hoping to get a
Is there
community.
anything that you're doing to ensure that we have a more diverse pool of applicants?
Well, that was one of the reasons that I was thankful that she did the newspaper article, and I'd be more than willing, if you have any thoughts. The other thought that came to my mind was to contacting both Westwood and the South Dearborn Heights School District and seeing if there's anybody in high schools that might be interested. But right now...
Is that something that you're doing right now, or do you have a plan in place to do that, or is that something that you need help doing?
Well, I would appreciate any help. We are in the process of doing it, but I'm not sure it's a diverse group. If I came in with 5 names and they're all in the Crestwood School District, all in one area of the town, I was trying to hopefully get...
Right. I understand that concern, but also if we're giving people chances to apply through different sources to apply, and that's the group that's applying, I don't see that that's a reason to prolong the commission from starting up over a year later. Again, I realize that diversity is extremely important, and that's also, I believe, written in the proposal.
Yes.
But we've talked about this December of 2017, and it's now almost March, and nothing has happened. And like you said earlier, we have to come together to do something good for our city, and I feel like I've been trying to do that, but it's very hard when there's lack of support. And I'm not saying that I don't have support from the council and from your office, but I just feel like there's something more that we can be doing, and we could be moving at a faster rate than we are right now. So I suggested earlier that we do something online, like maybe have an online form, or even just advertise it on the city website. Because let's say they don't read articles online, or they don't go on Facebook, they don't have social media, but they visit the city website often, at least they'll have information there.
And that was why I wanted to make the outreach to the other school districts directly, and hopefully they would allow their students, and out of that we might get 1 or 2 individuals that might be interested. But
okay, I think that's a good idea, and if you need help, I would love to help you with that.
You got it. We'll be in contact with you over by the end of the week, and we'll join together, and hopefully we get some good applicants.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Okay, do we have any other public comment? 3 minutes, and name and address, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Salim Sabbar. I'm here representing Blue Moon Hookah Lounge. Most of them know me and know about it. I was here like last November regarding that easement, and I was told that it's not going to be touched because it's a city property. It's been like 2-3 months where construction's been going on in that easement. I don't know what's going on. I know there's an apartment that you've been discussing that's going to go up there. I hope that easement's not going to be part of the apartment. It's not?
No.
Okay, very good. Now, the thing is, that wall, my wall, that's been leaning because of the city trees. We talked on it on November, I believe, last meeting, and I talked to Mr. McIntyre, and he promised me he's gonna call me back. He did call once, and that was it. I've been waiting and waiting. 2 months ago, a water pipe broke in the easement, and it messes the wall. It's leaning further and further. Now, with the construction that's going a couple feet away, the wall is very, very dangerous. I have pictures over here. I don't know what to do next. I mean, my hands are tied. The wall is gonna fall on customers' cars. Maybe it's gonna fall on people. It's a 6-foot wall, thick brick wall that's gonna cause a lot of damage. What should I do? This needs to be taken care of as soon as possible. I'm thinking about putting the yellow line and people not park there anymore because it's very dangerous. But if I do that, I'm gonna lose a lot of business that I can't afford. I just started. I need the city support to grow my business. What I'm getting is something to put my business down, and that's not right.
Madam Chair?
Councilman Abdullah?
I've seen the wall, and it is pretty bad, and it's definitely dangerous the way it looks like right now. I mean, forget just that cosmetically it doesn't look that good. I totally agree with you. I'm not a builder, but that thing is going to go down any minute.
When did you look at it last?
Probably about a month and a half ago. I think I ran into you there.
Yes. Now it's twice worse.
Yeah.
No, it's
dangerous.
Okay, thank you.
If I might, for your information, Mr. Miyake, the responsibility is his.
It's his.
In fact, ordinance could cite them.
I've seen them. Oh, my.
Actually, the property owner's responsibility to take care of these walls.
And you know, it's caused by stuff that's going on, construction going on the city side, right?
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Mayor?
Yep. I mean, you're saying it's the gentleman's responsibility?
The owner's responsibility.
And that very well could be, but if it's, and again, I'm not the determining factor, but just looking at the pictures, I'd seen the wall from the one side, but not from the other. It looks like it very possibly could be from the trees.
That's not the governing point. All commercial property is required to have, by ordinance, a screening wall, and it's their responsibility by the ordinance for all the maintenance and upkeep.
But if the cause of the problem is a tree that is owned by the city, on city property,
And
if you look at that trees all the way across.
Against the wall. You can see the trees have grown so wide that they're making the wall heave
And I've
to
been
the one
calling
side.
and calling. Every year I call, please come and cut the trees because it's making the wall leans, and I hear nothing till the end of the summer. I don't know how it's my fault, you know what? I can't
Dan, but
cross
it's
that, I can't
obvious
walk
that
there,
it's
I
our
can't
trees
cut
that
there
are
because it's
pushing
not
against your wall.
my property.
Have you met with
See, I'm like bigger. It's like.
And I'm just curious also, just throwing it out there, I assume, did the city cut those trees down?
I do not know.
Why were?
Who cut the trees down?
Well, the city did.
And I'm just wondering why the stumps weren't taken out, because obviously it would help. Well, it's not going to get rid of the problem. There's still a problem on the walls. I mean, if just looking at it, again, I'm not a builder.
I used to trim it all the time because it's going all the way to the parking lot, but am I allowed to go and cut it? Am I allowed to go in the city?
No, I'm saying we probably should have gotten rid of the stumps too, not only as a visual effect for the neighbors near there, but also, I mean, again, just looking
Help
at it.
stabilize the wall.
I'm not a engineer, but I'm just looking at it physically. It looks like it's
I mean,
pushing the
that's
walls.
obvious.
Bill took it.
I mean, there's one picture here, water bubbling through the ground, and if the water main break busted up his wall, how's it his responsibility?
Undermining the wall, maybe.
This water break, it added the leaning of the wall. It wasn't that bad. When I came in November, it wasn't that bad.
I mean, that had to wash a lot of soil away from the foundation.
Now the construction is pushing it more and more. I mean, it's very dangerous. It's falling.
Mr. Brooks?
We can look at it tomorrow.
We'll check it out tomorrow, and let me get with our DPW and our engineer, and we'll
I
see
thought
what
he
we can do.
retired. What I heard, he retired.
new one.
We have a new one starting the first Monday of March, is it? So that will help you a lot.
The first Monday of March.
This Monday, I believe.
This Monday.
This Monday.
This coming Monday.
Yes,
Great.
we're looking forward to that. Yes, it's about time.
So I'm gonna hear something this coming Monday.
Well, he's starting first thing Monday. I mean, he's going to have to fill forms out for taxes and stuff and have a meeting with me, so we'll try to get you an answer by
I'm trying
Wednesday.
to avoid a big problem. If this wall falls, it's a 120-foot long wall, 6 foot high. It's this thick. If it falls on customers' cars on a Saturday night, it's gonna be a disaster. I'm trying to avoid us a disaster.
Yeah, well, Mr. Brooks said he'd be out tomorrow, so can we at least start with that?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll have him come
And get the ball rolling, so when the new DPW guy comes in, he can kind of bring them up to speed.
Okay, we'll see. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment?
Yes. Hello, my name is Larry Henney, and I live at 6 Hickory Court in Dearborn Heights. My wife and I adopted the city of Dearborn Heights in 2010. So we haven't been here as long as a lot of folks have. But we soon learned that the city services are great, the police department is excellent, and it's a great city to live in. But I want to mention about the forensic audit. You're probably not going to like this, but we had an election, a mayoral election 2 years ago. Some people won, some people lost. But this has the appearance of being politically right. I agree. It has the appearance of looking like this is a political decision as opposed to a decision that really is looking for it seems like you're looking for a problem that doesn't exist. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Name, address, and 3 minutes, please.
Netta Pig Inn, Rosetta Street. I wanted to bring my subject up last meeting, but it was contentious. This one is even more contentious. I guess I'll never be able to bring it up as these are going. Unfortunately, I don't have the answer for all the skullduggery, chicanery, and possible embezzlement in the last 15 years. What I'm concerned about is walls. And I told you about walls being built in city right-of-ways. My subject I want to bring up today is privacy walls that are in violation of our ordinance, should be concerned with our ordinance. Most of the privacy walls in the city of Dearborn Heights are in violation of our ordinance. If you see a privacy wall that doesn't hook or touch the back ends of buildings, they're wrong. Unfortunately, the answer to Dave's question is when you take 800 hours that our accountant told you, multiply it times 15 years, you get 120,000 hours. 120,000 hours times an average of $2.50. No, I didn't even try to figure it out. Yeah, $250 gives you a number. I didn't even try to figure it out in my head, but it's astronomical. But please, council, look into the situation in our privacy walls. The nastiest thing is those white ones. They're terrible. They need to be light gray. They need to be beige. They need to be earth tone. And they're mostly in violation. The solution is when you have a certificate of occupancy, a change, and you have a renter where we have the renter's houses being inspected, that's the time to enforce the ordinance. Now, I've invited you to invite me to one of your closed sessions, and we could talk about this, but the fences are terrible, and it's within your jurisdiction. You can fix it tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comment? Name, address, in 3 minutes. And
Suzanne Todd, Academy Street. Thank you for voting for the forensic audit. It's very overdue. But I have another question. It's regarding the Ecorse Creek. 18 months ago, the mayor said that he would be coming forth with something regarding the Ecorse Creek and the basin. It's been 18 months, haven't heard a word. And we were told by the mayor not to contact anybody in the government. So it's 18 months now. I would like to know what's happening with the Ecorse Basin.
We met with City Council, I think it was this month. It might have been late January, but late January, early February, updated the council. And they gave me direction, and that direction was given to Corporation Council. And I hope that we'll have some pleasant news in a very short future.
Well, I've heard that line too often, and I don't see why we, the residents, can't know about what's going on with the basin with the Ecorse Creek. I'm not talking, I don't want to know legal matters. I just want to know where we stand with the basin on the Ecorse Creek. It's been 18 months.
Well, unfortunately, Ms. Todd, it is a legal matter and it is in litigation, and we are making progress. I mean, if the council members could tell you, look, there was discussion, it was in a closed session, and they gave us a direction, I think that's about all we can really say at this point, but it looks, my sense is that you would be happy to know what we're looking at, but we have to negotiate and deal with both the county and the Army Corps of Engineers, and I wouldn't want to end up saying something in a public forum that could jeopardize that. That's
fine. 53 years. 53 years this has been going on. 53 years. How much longer are we on the E-Court in 48125 going to have to keep hearing, we're working on it, we're working on it, it's legal, we're working on it? Well, we're tired of it. You have to give us some kind of information, not just, well, we're working on it. 53 years I have fought this battle.
Okay, thank you. Any other public comment? Do I hear a motion to end our meeting?
We have one more guy.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't see you there.
My name's Mike Blackburn, Arnold Street. In case you know, I'm a city employee too. Just a couple things. Last meeting set me off just a little bit with the way some people were treated. Director Perry, she has done the city a tremendous effort saving money in the city, saving money on health insurance. And with the two-person department, she's really done a good job. Plant Moran was here at the meeting for quarterly installments. They have been helping, they've been working with the HR department to save money. They have really done a good job. I think that contract should have been approved. A couple members up here are always saying RFP, RFP, RFP. Let me tell you about the last RFP you guys had. We had a good sewer contractor doing work at a low cost. You want an RFP, the city went out, got proposals. Do you know the new rates are higher than the old rates? We are now paying more money than we were paying before, 50% and higher. So now that comes out of the water department. You're not improving the water rate increases. Great Lakes increases our costs. We have to pass that on to the citizens, which I am, and it sucks, but I don't want to pay higher water bills either. But you are causing a bigger hole in the water budget, and eventually we're going to have to ask for more money because you increase the cost with the contractor. Now we're losing money because Great Lakes increased the cost of the city, but we can't make that up because you won't approve anything. I think there needs to be more trust in the department heads that they are doing the job. These department heads that we have now are doing a good job in saving the city money. They are doing a good job. This last RFP you went out for, the city lost. We did not save any money. Some of these vendors we work with, we've been working with for many, many years. They keep their costs low because they know we're not a big city. They know we can't afford it. They'd rather make smaller profits over a longer period of time than a big profit over a short period of time. And I think that there needs to be more communication with the council and department heads before the meetings, because department heads can provide you with answers before the meeting or during the meeting, and we can really speed these meetings up, because 2.5 hours, 3 hours is getting too long. And there needs to be more, council members need to ask more questions to these department heads before the meeting, so when they come in, they know how to vote, we can vote, not have hours and hours of discussions, and we can get out of here because we all have families.
Council Chair?
Thank you.
One comment. I would ask, but your director never showed up here.
Okay.
You have to look at that. You came and answered the questions to the best of your ability.
Yes.
But the director never came back after a question was posed to him and he didn't want to answer. And I'm just going to say that. Now, I'm not going to say no more about it.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, do I hear a motion to end our meeting? Oh, go ahead.
I just want to clarify real quick something that was said. In terms of the demolition of those properties, I don't have the authority. I know.
That's work-related. This is the wrong spot for that.
Except that it's going to go out there now. It's going to take, these people are not going to know that I did not order a demolition. If I could just clarify that. Because it was said that I'm the one that ordered it.
All right, just clarify it. Thank you.
That's not our process. When I started as the ordinance director, I met with...
Just briefly clarify, because you really shouldn't be speaking at this time with that.
Mohammed asked me if I would, because I take most of the calls about the properties, especially from the residents that have to live next to them, he asked me if I would be the person that would organize them. I went to him or to Larry or to Rick. They do the inspections of the property. They determine whether or not the property has to be demolished. And then from that point, it then goes to the attorney. And then he takes it further if we go to circuit court to get an order. So I inherited all these properties. But I do want to say one other thing. The gentleman that's trying to sell the house next door, he did call me. I did explain to him what the process is. I said, the house has been determined that it should be demolished by the building department. Our next step is to get a funding source. I told him that last year. I had a conversation with Joe. Joe said, I can help you with that. even though we have money in our demolition budget, he said, I can do that through that money. The gentleman called me back and I said, sir, the next step is I have to go in front of council and get council's approval. I never told him to publish anything that says that it's going to be taken down. He knew that these were all steps that had to be taken. The final thing would be your approval. So I don't want that to go out into the world that I had anything to do with that. So.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, do we move to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Councilman Muscat, seconded by Councilman Abdullah. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.